Jade Robrin.
Hydrotherapy at Physio Extra Marion, including underwater treadmill, latest rehab facilities and highly trained physios. physioextra.com.
Flowers have been left at the scene outside Adelaide's 2KW bar and restaurant, where a man tragically fell to his death from the rooftop late yesterday afternoon. Emergency services were called just after 4 p.m. and police are expected to return today as investigations continue. Officers were seen on the 8th floor of the building dusting for fingerprints and taking photographs following the incident. More than $25 million will be invested in expanding a northern suburbs defence precinct. Bay Systems Adelaide Operations has secured Australia's biggest ever defence export deal. The Edinburgh Parks upgrade will support the AUKUS Pact and boost missile production following Canada's $6.5 billion purchase of the locally developed Yawn radar systems. US President Donald Trump says Iran and Israel should make a deal as the escalation between the two sides continues to worsen. US correspondent Lauren Tomasi.
Donald Trump hasn't ruled out US involvement in this conflict between Israel and Iran, saying it's a possibility, while also warning that Washington would respond with overwhelming force if Iran attacked the United States in any way. Today, the US president declaring on social media a deal will be made between the two sides, Donald Trump calling to make the Middle East great again. It comes as we're learning in the past few days the US president vetoed an Israeli plan to assassinate Iran's supreme leader, and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying there was clear intel shared with the United States that Iran was on the verge of a nuclear weapon.
Anthony Albanese has touched down in Canada ahead of the G7 Economic Summit. Michael Packy is covering the Prime Minister's trip.
The PM is one of the first world leaders to arrive here in Calgary ahead of the Economic and Security Conference involving the world's biggest economies. Later today, Anthony Albanese will hold formal talks with G7 host and Canadian counterpart Mark Carney. Over the course of the coming days, he'll also meet the leaders of Japan, South Korea, France and the UK. But all eyes and ears will be on Mr Albanese's first face-to-face talks with US President Donald Trump, which will happen on Wednesday, Australian time. The Prime Minister says he'll raise tariffs imposed on Australian products and will seek reassurances about the future of the AUKUS Defence Pact.
Australians are now paying more than $600 in out-of-pocket fees to access specialist GP referrals. The Grattan Institute has found average specialists' costs have risen 73% since 2010. The report is recommending Medicare rebates be slashed for practices which charge excessive fees. The federal government is announcing tougher child safety measures to protect children in early education. Mandatory 24-hour reporting of allegations, a ban on vapes at facilities and stronger protection around digital technology use will be introduced from the 1st of September. Early Childhood Minister Dr Jess Walsh says it's about ensuring peace of mind.
We want to give parents confidence that children are safe every day in Australia's early childhood education services.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Get up to 2K loyalty bonus when you trade in during Agostino Mitsubishi's end of financial year sale.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Jade. Port Adelaide has kept its finals hopes alive after an impressive 25-point win against Melbourne at home. The Power led at every change as they made it back-to-back wins. Mitch Georgiades leading the way with a career-high 7 goals. Coach Ken Hinkley delighted with his key position players at both ends of the ground.
It was really pleasing for Saba particularly to play that way, and he's played a really strong year. He's been a really important player for us this year, and you can see him growing with confidence, and that's only going to be good for us. And then Mitchell to do what he did on a high-quality opponent, and score the goals that he scored there. That's a big number in AFL 47.
One other game yesterday, and it was Carlton easily taking care of West Coast in Perth, winning by 34 points. Well, George Russell has won the Canadian Grand Prix ahead of Max Verstappen and Kimi Antonelli. A late challenge between teammates Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris on lap 67 a major talking point.
And they're both going wheel to wheel, and it's two McLarens powering down the back straight. Down the inside goes Oscar Piastri to hold on to that position. Oh, wow. He's into the grass, and they have touched. The front wing has gone, and Lando Norris is out of this race.
Yeah, amazing scenes. Piastri ended up finishing 4th to extend his championship lead. Well, things are getting tight as we prepare to enter the back 9 of the US Open. Aussie Adam Scott within 1 shot of the lead, while American Sam Burns is still out in front at 2 under. And German football giants Bayern Munich have showed little mercy in their Club World Cup clash with Auckland City, demolishing the A-League side 10-0. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thank you, Tom. Now the 5AA forecast.
Stay cosy, stay with CMAX. Visit cmax.com.au now and register your interest today.
Showers and 16 today, a shower or 2 and 16 tomorrow, cloudy and 16 again on Wednesday. Right now it's 10 degrees on 5AA, always Adelaide.
Your baby's mind is growing even before they arrive. The more you talk and sing and play, the more their mind will thrive. Gotta talk with your baby, play with your baby, read to your baby, make out you're a lion. Talk with your baby, play with your baby, read to your baby. Your words will grow their mind. Every time you interact with your child, you're helping grow their mind. For more information, visit wordsgrowminds.org.au.
You deserve a bonus. You could be driving a brand new Range Rover. If you've been meaning to get your tickets in the Hospital Research Foundation Home Lottery, now is the time to act. You could win one of 2 Range Rover Velas just for getting in early. And your tickets stay in more than 11,000 draws, giving you a 1 in 15 chance to win. Don't miss out. The deadline is midnight Friday. Visit homelottery.com.au. Licence M14727.
You don't just do a good barbie, you're the tong master. You're just not just flipping snags. You've earned the title Backyard Hospitality Director, so you deserve the very best outdoor kitchen from Adelaide Outdoor Kitchens.
That's right. Choose from the best appliances out of bar, fridge, a pizza oven, or stun your guest with one of their custom-made concrete bench tops. They do indoor concrete bench tops too. These handmade bench tops can really update any kitchen space. Custom made for you, every piece unique, especially for you.
Call for a consultation and quote today or visit the Seaford Meadows showroom on Farrow Circuit. The best backyard hospitality directors choose Adelaide Outdoor Kitchens. Go to adelaideoutdoorkitchens.com.au.
Steinborner Automotive in Gawler, Barossa and Clare has always been well worth a trip, especially with their end of financial year sale on over 500 new, used and demo cars, including over 50 new and demo Mazda CX-3s, CX-5s and the best deals on BT50s in SA. Plus, they're offering an additional $1,500 trade-in bonus on all trade-ins. Head to Barossa Mazda in Nuriutpa or view the whole range at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive. It's well worth a trip.
In Adelaide and across South Australia, this is 5AA, always Adelaide.
Hyundai end of financial year sale is on now. Jump into the Tucson from $39,990 drive away at your participating Hyundai dealer.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
8 minutes after 6, good morning to you and welcome to Monday on 5AA Breakfast. Big morning ahead. We're off to the US with Miley Hogan just before 7 o'clock today. We're going to chat with a farmer just outside of Jamestown, Justine, about the rain on the weekend and over the last 5 or 6 days, some of which we know the Bureau said you're going to miss out in Adelaide, but we're hoping it's going to get to the areas that need it most. We'll find out. We'll check in with Justine how she's feeling about the drought and whether there's any sign the season's broken after 7:30. Also, David Elrich, an Australian man, former Melburnian, who now calls Tel Aviv home, lives in Israel. We've spoken to him in the past when that city has been under sustained rocket attack by Hamas following October 7. Now, against a peer state actor in Iran. He talks to us about intercontinental ballistic missiles raining down on his home city. He's coming up after 7:30 today. We've got Best of SA, of course, as we head into Best of SA week. Friday night, Adelaide Oval is the big night. 8223 0000 or text us on 0448 08 1395. Looking forward to your company over the course of the morning. David Penberthy, good morning to you.
Good morning, listeners. Good morning, Will. Yeah, all hell broke loose not long after we finished the show on Friday. I had a bit of a doze off on the couch after battling through a bit of a joint fluey week last week for us, wasn't it, Will?
We weren't in a good state last week. I don't think we've ever been collectively as sick at the same time.
Terrible, wasn't it?
Well, we're good now, though.
We are. I think I'm 90% there. There's stuff going around everywhere. I went to the GP last week for a routine checkup and passed out with flying colours somehow. But we've got a pact, Will and I. Like you basically need to be technically dead not to come into work.
Incapable of speech.
Yeah, incapable of speech and movement. Some of the circumstances which we've dragged ourselves in. I think you last Tuesday, that was your PB.
Yeah, Tuesday or Wednesday wasn't. Actually, Wednesday wasn't good.
The West Lakes Dream Home sounded like a pleurisy ward. But yeah, no, after the show Friday, dozed off on the couch and woke up and like World War III had started between Israel and Iran. Imagine living in that part of the world where it just becomes so routine. The idea that houses come with bomb shelters, it's hard to wrap your head around in Australia, isn't it?
Well, we've just finished chatting with David Elrich. We're going to play it before 8 o'clock for you. And one thing you'll hear in that interview is this sort of, not weariness, but there's nothing, he doesn't see anything outside the ordinary of, the 10-minute warning's gone off on my phone, missiles are on the way, I'll just go to the bunker.
Yeah.
Well, imagine in Adelaide, right now, at 11 after 6, everyone's phone suddenly went ding, ding, go to a bomb shelter or get to a covered place, missiles are incoming. I think rightfully so, collectively 1 million people would have a heart attack.
Yeah.
He talks about it as though you've just been told, a fire alarm's gone off in the city.
Well, it's almost like a yellow weather warning on your bomb app. It's like, it's a marine warning. Or maybe a total fire ban. It's that that sort of routine, isn't it?
You know what I found over the weekend? Because I end up, whenever there's a big global news event like this, I get obsessed about it, and I'll watch it endlessly for hours and hours on end on the various news networks, and I'll try and follow online and try and learn what's going on where and so forth. Social media is dead as a news source. It's officially dead, and I reckon this is the first global event that's taken place where its obsolescence has suddenly become abundantly clear. Because in the past, almost the only way it felt like to follow a big news event was on Twitter or somewhere, because there were people on the ground taking pictures of what was happening that was always better than the news coverage.
Yeah, totally.
It was faster and you were getting it, and it was unfettered, and it would often then comprise part of the news coverage on TV in Australia or wherever. It's useless now, and it's useless because of AI.
Yeah,
this is the
amount of made-up stuff.
I started going through it, and I went, it is now so everywhere that everything's useless. I don't believe anything I've seen on social media. I think it's all garbage.
Have you seen those fake RFK press conferences? I don't know if there's some, I don't know what it would be, modulation thing or like a type in the text and it pops out of his mouth. But there's all of these, Robert F. Kennedy, who's the health secretary in the US, of the Kennedy clan, obviously. But there's all these fake press conferences where he's banning stuff that he's not actually banning. You think, well, so people who hate him are doing this as a joke. Other people are just doing it for, thrills and giggles. But you're right. Like, you look at anything and you go, well, this is now, the whole thing is incredible. It is incapable of being believed.
And there's no alternative. For example, and if people say, of course, you guys are going to defend traditional media, but if, say, a newspaper, let's take it even outside of Adelaide. Let's say there's two newspapers in Melbourne and Sydney. If one of those keeps throwing up AI images, they'd get outed by the other one and quickly lose credibility, right?
Yeah.
Because it's a competitive environment. There's no competition on social media.
No.
It's not like I'll go to the Twitter that doesn't do AI. There's no alternative. It's a monopoly. So there's no accountability. So it is just, I think this is it. This is the end of it. It died with the coverage of this major event, and its lifespan was pretty short in terms of being the preeminent way major news events were covered.
I'm just trying to think back. Like, well, the Arab Spring.
Yep.
That was probably around.
That might have been the start of it.
Yeah. When Gaddafi got offed by the people.
Ukraine, Russia, I thought that's only 3 years ago. And it was incredibly useful for that.
Yeah. Yeah, you used to see the mainstream media would rip off all of those Twitter images. Like TV would run Twitter video and the newspapers would run links to things like, when Fukushima melted down, there were. But now, I mean, if Fukushima melted down, there'd probably be AI of a giant plesiosaurus coming out of the water.
Well, this is just it.
With X-ray beams coming out of its eyes. Godzilla versus Megalodon.
It happened at light speed, but AI has already got to the point where there's just no point looking at unverified stuff online anymore. It all could be fake.
Yeah. It's really just infiltrating our world so fast. For good and for ill.
Yeah.
I was talking to a mate yesterday who's a school teacher. He said, there's a whole bunch of stuff like, a lot of the old routine basic class prep things that you can now do that free you up to spend more time doing one-on-one work with students.
Yes.
Kids who are really falling behind, having trouble reading or remembering or whatever it is. He said, AI takes the drudgery out of it. And the thing is, as a teacher, you always think, I want to be able to spend as much time as possible with that kid who's struggling, or this kid who's brilliant, and we've got to talk to him about extracurricular stuff to keep him stimulated or her stimulated, the drudgery part of it. If you can eliminate that, then it does free you up to do other things.
Absolutely. 16 after 6. Let us know your thoughts, 8223 0000 or 0480 1395. Tom says, so the Crows didn't lose on the weekend. I think Tom thinks we're filibustering.
No, don't worry, we're going to get to that. That was one of the worst games of football I've seen in a long time. Just how did it get so bad?
I immediately after the game ended, I wanted to buy shares in stadium roof building companies.
Oh, wasn't that? I reckon that was actually deliberately done by the embattled Liberal Premier, who's the only guy in Tasmania who thinks you do need a stadium with a roof.
I think the AFL put that game on to say, oh, you guys, you want to watch this every week, do you?
Yeah.
You don't think they need a roof? You want to watch that? Good luck to you. 17 after 6. Tom will have more on that. We'll have more on the news headlines in just a moment.
Buy an Austrac Campers hybrid camper in June and score a free 3.3 kVA Austuff generator and a bonus 95 litre dual zone fridge. Only during Austrac's end of financial year super sale. Conditions apply.
Austrac Campers. Adelaide's local, trusted and truly connected talkback radio station. 5AA. Always Adelaide.
This is very serious. The Blackout End of Financial Year sale is live at Edwardstown Mazda with huge in-showroom only deals and serious savings across all new and demo vehicles. Save up to drive away with no ads, no clues, just serious end of financial year value. In-store only. Are you serious about end of financial year? Prove it. Show up. The Blackout Sale, only at Edwardstown Mazda and only in-store. Must end June 30.
City Discount Tires. Get saving now with City Discount Tires. We're offering great deals on the world's top brands in tyres, wheels, suspension and parts. Suitable for four-wheel drives, SUVs and passenger cars, including Falcon, Michelin, Pirelli, Kumho, Hankook and many more. Finance options available. Search citydiscounttires.com.au and locate your nearest dealer today. City Discount Tires. We're driven by value. City Discount Tires.
The RFDS, that's the Royal Flying Doctor Service, airlifts 15 South Australians every day, speeding them to the lifestyle surgery or a life-saving surgery or specialist treatment they desperately need. It's an incredible and much-needed service that we're so lucky to have.
So if you hear a plane flying overhead, it could be the Royal Flying Doctor on their way to help someone suffering a heart attack or a car crash. They could be helping a new mum, delivering a premature baby, or providing life-saving support for anyone in need, no matter where they live, be it country or city.
You can help the Flying Doctor keep flying through your support. The Royal Flying Doctor Service is able to purchase its flying intensive care units that care for 15 South Australians every day. Think about that, 15 every single day. For the people and the life you love, help keep the Flying Doctor flying. Donate today. Visit flyingdoctor.org.au.
Built like a brick house. Tough as nails. That's Basic Trailers for you. This EOFIS, use code 5AA to drive away with Rego for just $1. Made with 100% Australian steel in Adelaide. Basic Trailers. Basically better.
Personal data. Pulverised. When you recycle old phones with Mobile Muster, nothing is left behind. Phones are sorted, dismantled, then crushed and shredded and smelted. Memory boards destroyed. Privacy secured. Data is truly irrecoverable. Safely recycle your old phones with Mobile Muster. Visit mobilemuster.com.au for more information.
All right, that'll be absolutely diddly squat.
Buy any vehicle from Wayville Hyundai before June 30 and you could win an entire year of groceries from Foodland. T's and C's apply. Licence number T25707. Driven by Australian Motors.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Hyundai end of financial year sale is on now. Jump into the Tucson from $39,990 drive away at your participating Hyundai dealer.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
20 minutes after 6 news headlines on this Monday, the 16th of June. The Israeli Prime Minister has warned Iran will pay a very high price for killing 10 civilians in missile strikes. Benjamin Netanyahu has accused Iran of deliberately targeting civilians.
Iran will pay a very high price for the murder of civilians, women and children, which they did intentionally. We will both achieve our goal and strike them with one decisive blow.
That translation, thanks to the BBC. Iranian media are suggesting more than 120 people have been killed in Israeli attacks. The Middle East conflict could add 12 cents a litre to Australian petrol prices. Global markets have responded to the strikes in the region, causing oil prices to surge. The AMP says the effect on local markets will become clearer once the ASX reopens today. Well, it's been nice while they've lasted, those low petrol prices, isn't it?
I had to fill up over the weekend. It was $1.95. I was like, I
think we're going back there.
Should have got in early.
Tech giant Amazon will spend an extra $7 billion in a boost to its infrastructure in Australia. This is the Prime Minister's been in Seattle. Subsequently, he's already arrived in Canada for the G7, but he was in the US to in part talk about this deal. The $13 billion already allocated to build data centres in Sydney and Melbourne will now increase to $20 billion. The money in these things is mind-boggling. When you consider their data centres. It's not a hospital. It's a data centre. Amazon says this will help businesses across the country boost their digital footprint. Speaking from the company's headquarters in Seattle, the Prime Minister says it's a game changer.
This investment will certainly support complex AI and supercomputing applications as well. It will boost Australia's economic growth, our resilience and our productivity.
All eyes in Australia, though, will be on his meeting with Donald Trump in Canada that's going to take place on Wednesday. That has been confirmed on the sidelines of the G7 summit in Canada. Anthony, Phil Curry's written a really interesting piece about that this morning that we might talk more about after 7 o'clock today. Some of the things that are going to be on the table and a bit of an insight into the pitch that Albo's going to be making to Donald Trump around why we shouldn't be held to the same standard as NATO countries, for example, when it comes to defence spending as a proportion of GDP.
The Amazon story's become a bit of a drama for Albo internally, because there's a whole bunch of Labor MPs, including some South Australians, Senator Marielle Smith, for example, who have spoken out about Amazon and been critical of its non-payment of tax, critical of its labour laws, the paltry wages that they pay a lot of their delivery people, for example. And at the same time, you've got the PM cuddling up to Bezos, but it's hard to wrap your head around that volume of money.
$20 billion. So let's think about that.
It's five
women's and children's hospitals.
Yeah.
But there's no people involved.
Well, I don't know. Companies might be one.
Might be just one.
Yeah, that's right. Watch this space.
Let's have a look at the weather for today and the rest of the week. Today looks like it'll be the wet day until we get to Sunday. So today, 1 to 7 mils of rain, a top of just 16 for Adelaide. Tomorrow, 10 to 16 with up to 2 mils of rain, 16 on Wednesday. No rain Wednesday. Dry middle to the latter part of the week. Thursday will be dry and 19. Friday looks like the pick of the days if you've got somewhere to be or something to do. 20 degrees and sunny on Friday. That'll be beautiful. Light winds as well. Sounds like an absolute picture.
Nice.
Saturday won't be far off. It'll be 20. There might be a shower Saturday. Might get a drizzle. Sunday looks like the day, though, that we'll get our next decent drenching beyond today. 1 to 9 mils of rain predicted for Sunday and a top of 18 degrees.
Naomi Will, she got stung. Premium unleaded, $2.20.
Oh.
And our good mate Rob says a year and a half to 2 years ago, AI was so obvious that you could pick anything, but now it's developed so fast that nothing is what it seems, and you second guess everything that you see.
Yeah.
That's very true. Remember they did that thing of Trump and Putin and Kim Jong-il walking down the street to the sounds of Staying Alive?
That's right.
Like it looked like one of those things.
It looked silly.
Yeah.
Well, it looked obviously not real.
Yeah, like their heads looked like they'd been stuck on.
They do now they can do these videos, and I lose track of which company does what. Might be called FIVEAA or something. And they're doing reports from natural disasters, and I challenge anyone to say that they're not real people.
Yeah, right.
It's someone reporting from a hurricane in, Fakesville, and they'll be standing there in the raincoat looking like every generic news TV reporter in the world, and good luck saying it's not true.
The capacity for using this in a malicious way is just off the charts. Like imagine you've a couple who are going through a bad divorce, and one of them's accused the other one of infidelity or something like that, and you could just mock up. You can mock up anything, and then the onus is on you to prove that it's not you.
It doesn't feel like there's the tools to determine fakery have kept up with the ability to make fakes, have they?
No.
Have you ever met anyone who goes, I'll just run it through my is this AI or not machine?
No, exactly. It's crazy.
Yeah, that's concerning. Tom Wren's in the 5AA Breakfast studio with us. Lots to digest out of the weekend in sport. Some of the sport's still ongoing. Glidol Garage Doors adding strength, style and safety to your home. Glidol.com.au. Morning to you, Rennie.
Morning, Will. Morning, David. Yeah, plenty happening over the weekend, fellas. We'll get into our winners and losers. You called the game yesterday, Will. It felt like a top 8 clash to me. It was a real high-quality game of football, but Port big winners yesterday. Mitch Georgiades in particular, 7 goals, career high.
Could have kicked 10.
Could have kicked 10.
Probably should have.
Missed a couple of sodas, didn't he? And that can be an issue for him, his kicking, but it got better throughout the day. But he was superb, as was Asava Radagalier at the other end. He was brilliant. So
it was a weird game to watch because Melbourne destroyed Port Adelaide in the middle of the ground.
Yep.
That absolute dominance in the middle.
And that's usually where Port are so strong. So
that's right.
They won a different way yesterday. They won with their bookends, which I think is encouraging. A bit of a concern in the midfield, but Horn Francis, that said, was still really strong and he should be okay. But we'll see if they can capitalise now and get a bit of momentum. It was a good performance. They beat Melbourne. Now they've got Sydney at home. Should win that. Then Carlton at home. If they can get to 8 and 7, then it gets a bit tricky. Brisbane away, Geelong away, etc. But, if they can look after these home games, they're at least a chance.
3 of the next 4, very winnable.
Very winnable.
Treaders and Timmy were very up and about after the game.
No, and with good reason. I called the game on Friday night. Gee,
commiserations on having to do that.
It was a tough watch. And it was one that got away. The Crows led for 95% of the game. Conspiracy going around that the AFL deliberately put it at night time to prove you need a roof in Tasmania because
that's a very plausible theory.
Yeah, it was a tough watch. The skills, because of the weather, they do suffer. It was slippery. It was cold.
But you could see the air coming out of their mouths as they were breathing as well.
Yeah, it was tough going. And look,
it looked like Scott's last expedition. Like it was unbelievable.
It was, and credit to Hawthorn. They changed the game after half time, but. a couple of moments like the Fogarty deliberate out of bounds. You just go, you're kidding, aren't you? When he spoiled the ball and
off from the fist,
yeah. You didn't think they paid those ones where they're in a contest.
Yeah, but there were frees and 50s that the Crows got. Where I was just watching the thing, put your damn whistle away.
Yeah. It was it was that kind of game. It was, and the Crows got a couple of soft ones earlier in the game. Other winners and losers, West Coast big losers yesterday. I thought that was a winnable game for them. The Aussie cricketers, they're big losers. That was a bad. And the top order, I think Usman Khawaja was done 18 months ago.
Labuschagne.
And Cam Green, they tried to fit a square peg in a round hole and bat him at number 3.
Where's Costas? What's he doing at the moment? Just kicking around in Australia somewhere?
Well, he's there, but he just didn't get picked.
He's ramping in the nets.
The other big loser from this morning is Lando Norris. Let's have a listen to what happened at the Canadian Grand Prix with his teammate, Aussie Oscar Piastri. This was...
and they're both going wheel to wheel, and it's 2 McLarens powering down the back straight. Down the inside goes Oscar Piastri to hold on to that position. Oh, wow. He's into the grass, and they have touched. The front wing has gone, and Lando Norris is out of this race.
Oh, dear.
Audio thanks to Fox. So the two teammates tangled, but Lando Norris has accepted full responsibility. The team will be filthy because you basically, the championship, Drivers' Championship, you're taking points out of the race and you're gifting them to other teams. So, look, in the end, Piastri came 4th, so he actually extends his lead, even though George Russell and Max Verstappen gained some ground. He's extended his lead over Norris. So it's not a horrible result for Piastri, but it's not great for McLaren.
It is unique among, in inverted commas, team sports, F1, isn't it? Because everyone accepts that's probably going to happen at some point if you're in a dominant car. You're just going to have to race each other.
And
it's great drama.
It is, and massive egos. Huge egos. So
F1's great.
The golf, keep an eye on this. They've just gone off dangerous weather, but I reckon they'll be back out in the next half hour. Adam Scott, he's 44 years of age. He's one shot behind with 12 holes to play. Brutal course. A
huge third round, didn't he?
Huge. And 3 under, which was, lights out in tough conditions. He's too good a player to have only won one major. He won one back in 2013, so keep updated with that. Sam Burns is 2 under. Scott's 1 under. The next best is 2 shots further back at 1 over. He's a huge
Are they in the
chance.
same group, Rennie?
They are.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh,
so
that'll be great to watch.
It could come down to match play in the back 9. Still a lot to play out, but keep an eye on that. Other winners, Kyle Chalmers did really well at the swimming championships here, and the Thunderbirds needed a win in the weekend. They got it, so that was a good result.
Good on you, Rennie.
Thanks, boys.
On you, Tom.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Showers and 16 with the 6:30 news. Good morning, I'm Jade Robrin.
Keep in shape with physio-instructed clinical Pilates and gym classes at 6 locations. physioextra.com.
There was tragic scenes at Adelaide's 2KW bar and restaurant where a man fell to his death from the rooftop late yesterday afternoon. Emergency crews rushed to the site just after 4 p.m, with police launching an investigation into the incident. Flowers have since been left at the scene and officers are expected to return today to continue examining the area. Iran and Israel have launched further air attacks against each other as the conflict goes into its 4th night. Several people have been wounded across Israel, with the northern city of Haifa amongst the targets. In Iran, state television has reported that an Israeli strike on a residential building in the capital killed 5 people. Britain's Prime Minister Keir Starmer says a summit of leaders from G7 countries in Canada offers a slight chance to make the case for easing the conflict between Israel and Iran.
The conflict with Israel and Iran is centrepiece, and this provides the opportunity to talk to our co-leaders about the fast-moving situation and to make our strong case together that there must be de-escalation of this conflict in the interests of the region and, of course, the world.
New data has revealed a worrying rise in rough sleepers across Adelaide's suburbs. Confidential figures from the Department of Human Services show that while the number of rough sleepers in the CBD fell over the past 2 years, suburban areas are seeing increases. Port Adelaide Enfield recorded a jump, as did Marion and Playford. A manhunt is underway in Bali for 2 masked men believed to be Australians who gunned down 2 Melbourne men at a luxury villa. Indonesian police have notified all exit points, including Denpasar International Airport. Witnesses suggesting the shooters had Australian accents. One of the men injured in the attack, 34-year-old Sanar Ghanim, has been discharged from Akuta Hospital. The vape black market sales are booming, meaning attempts to regulate the industry is failing. Gail Watson reports.
The Therapeutic Goods Administration estimates that more than 10 million vapes are sold nationally every month on the black market. Documents obtained by News Corp under Freedom of Information suggest just 1 in 1,600 vapes being sold occur legally through a pharmacy. These figures do not include prescription-driven sales. Pharmacist John Tan telling the paper he had sold just 1 vape in 9 months, saying either people don't know they can buy vapes from pharmacies or they are choosing to buy them illegally elsewhere.
Prosecutors in the murder trial of alleged mushroom cook killer Erin Patterson are expected to begin delivering their closing addresses to the jury when the matter returns to court this week. The defence's closing address could take several days. The 50-year-old has finished giving evidence after 8 days in the witness box. She's denied deliberately poisoning her lunch guests with death cap mushrooms in their meals. A survey has found Generation Z is neglecting important health checks. 90% haven't had a sexual health examination. Just 6% have had a skin health assessment. Scrape's Chris Nunn says there are several reasons young people aged between 18 and 24 are avoiding checkups.
They've got a lot on their plate. They're concerned about these individual factors as well as the broader social issues.
Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Get a 3K cash card on selected models during Agostino Mitsubishi's end of financial year sale.
Hello, Tom Wren.
And good morning to you as well, Jay. We're going to start with some motorsport. Lando Norris has apologised to teammate Oscar Piastri after a challenge on lap 67 of the Canadian Grand Prix ended with Norris off the track and a safety car subsequently called in. Norris also accepting responsibility on the team radio.
Are you all right, dude? Yeah, I'm sorry. It's all my bad. Hold up. All my fault. Unlucky, sorry.
Piastri finished fourth while George Russell clinched Mercedes' first victory of the season. Well, Port Adelaide has moved up to 11th spot on the ladder following an impressive 25-point win against Melbourne in yesterday's clash at home. The Power were brilliantly led by key forward Mitch Georgiades, who booted a career-high 7 goals. There was one other game too yesterday, Carlton keeping in touch with the top 8, following a 34-point win against West Coast. Eagles defender Ruben Jinby says a poor start cost them.
I mean, in the end, it was the slow start that killed us. I mean, normally we started pretty strong at home. We've been going after contested footy and pressure, and we just didn't bring that in the first quarter. To take positives out of the game, I think the margin from the first quarter was the margin we finished the game with. But, yeah, we just can't start that slow to a team like Carlton. They just killed us.
Yeah, West Coast blown out of the water, conceding 7 goals in the first term, and they'll be sweating on the health of captain Oscar Allen, who went down with a lower leg injury. And rain has delayed the final round of the US Open in Oakmont, with Aussie Adam Scott in outright second, just 1 shot behind leader Sam Burns. Burns is at 2 under, Scott's at 1 under. They've both played 7 holes. The next best are Victor Hovland and Tyrrell Hatton at 1 over. Play set to resume, Jade, in the next half an hour, which is good news. That is the 5AA Sport.
Thank you, Tom. Now checking the 5AA forecast.
Stay cosy, stay with CMAX. Visit cmax.com.au now and register your interest today.
Showers and 16 today, a shower or 2 and 16 tomorrow, cloudy and 16 again on Wednesday. Right now it is 10 degrees on 5AA, always Adelaide.
Hyundai end of financial year sale is on now. Jump into the Tucson from $39,990 drive away at your participating Hyundai dealer.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
23 minutes to 7, police and weather not too far away. We're off to the US as well. We'll do some texts, and then in a moment, I want to talk about old dads, how the animal kingdom has us beat. There is a bit of a traffic note to be wary of already this morning as well. Police are at the scene of a crash on the Augusta Highway at Port Germain involving a car and a truck. No reports of serious injuries, thankfully, but traffic is affected in both directions. Please avoid the area if possible.
One here saying that AFL players should harden up. They play NFL and soccer in the snow. Calm down. And Phil says, sometimes I wonder if AFL umpires are AI with some of the decisions they make. It's hard to tell if they're real or fake. I think sadly they're all real.
I think it might be about time. I think AI might want to step into that space. Might be the best advertisement for it
absolutely
that you could ever get. Dave in Blakeview, good morning.
G'day, fellas. How are you?
Good, mate.
Good, thanks, Dave.
Hey, I've got a lost and found notice for you. Up here on the top of Coast Highway this morning, somebody's got a double bed mattress.
Sorry, your phone's doing you a disservice, Dave. Someone's lost a double bed mattress, did you say?
A double bed mattress or the bed frame.
Whereabouts did you see it? Sorry, Dave?
You know, the overtaking lane, just the other side of Port Wakefield, where you go across the Padina.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, between the end of the 3-laner and the first chicken farm.
And does it look like a brand new mattress?
I didn't see it that quick, mate. I had to go around and submit it.
Oh, no.
But somebody else has come along and flipped it, and she's now rolled up on the big party out on the shoulder against the top of the fence. So if they're looking for their mattress, that's where she is.
All right, Dave. Thank you, Dave. You never know the things you're going to see when you're out and about, especially this time of the morning. They tend to be a little bit more interesting.
Nice community service there by Dave. If you've lost your mattress, it's just there near the chicken farm.
Now you know where it is.
On Port Wakefield Road.
Al Pacino became a father again at the age of 83, you might recall. He had a son named Roman. Robert De Niro became a father at the age, again most recently at the age of 79. He had a daughter by the name of Gia. Both of those have been significantly outperformed, though, in the geriatric father stakes by Goliath, the 234-kilo Galapagos tortoise at South Florida's Miami Zoo, who just celebrated a birthday and a Father's Day on the weekend, having become a father again at the age of 135 years old. He is the zoo's oldest resident. Here is handler Ron McGill.
He is one of the easiest going, most mellow Galapagos tortoises I've ever worked with. There's something special about Goliath. First of all, he's very attracted to people. He'll come walking right up to you. And at over 500 pounds, you got to be very careful that he doesn't step on you.
Never too late to find someone. This is Goliath's first offspring. First, and the mother is estimated to be nearly 100 years old. So, wow. There you go.
How long do those tortoises live? Extraordinary.
So 130. So obviously that goes without saying. The oldest resident at the South Florida Miami Zoo.
They're a good advertisement for moving slowly and not doing much.
Seems to be something to
those
that.
Tortoises. You don't see them zipping around. They're sort of very recumbent attitude to life, and if I need to do something, I'm going to do it slowly and methodically. I'm amazed that they remain fertile for that long, though.
177, the oldest Galapagos tortoise that we're aware. I mean, the one that we're aware of. It's not like we've got them all knocking around and we check them all, but the oldest that humans are aware of lived at 177 years of age.
Well, I tell you what, it must be a weight off Goliath's parents' minds, because for years they were thinking, is he ever going to settle down and find someone? Oh, Goliath, he's 110.
He's going to look at people again.
He's 100.
It'd be nice if he looked at a couple of female tortoises occasionally.
Exactly. Hey, Goliath, stop staring at those people over there who are feeding you papaya and go and... That chicken in the corner, she's been giving you the...
She's a sprightly young 97-year-old.
The very slow eye, You're a tortoise. How would you give someone the eye? It'd take you a while.
It's just a very subtle movement.
You'd have to blink like Matilda, the kangaroo at the Brisbane Commonwealth Games. Remember that?
That's right.
The wink.
The
big slow wink.
The big slow wink.
Yeah. Happy news, though, for Goliath and Mrs. Goliath.
8223 is that number. You can text us on 0480 1395 or jump on the Facebook and YouTube live stream.
What do we think of this footy dad who has been spared jail for assaulting that kid? I got to, geez, there's some parents who really shouldn't be let within QE of kids' sport. I find that extraordinary, that story.
You without going too much into it, you've done some coaching. In fact,
I've never seen anything like that.
But you've seen parents that would fit into the category where you go, this is a bit uncomfortable, I'm guessing.
The thing I don't like is parents who criticise the umpire or the ref at footy and school soccer.
Who at school footy generally hear a little kid themselves.
Oh, yeah. Often the umpire is about the same age as the players. But you do hear a bit of that, which is never good, I don't think. But this is in a category of its own. Like, actually, thumping a kid, and I know the dad, his defence would be, well, my own son had just been injured by this child. But, it's a contact sport. Kids are going to fire up the same way adults fire up. They shouldn't, but they do. And for an adult to involve themselves in it by running out there onto the field and actually hitting a child, I mean, what did the other parents think?
So for the people that aren't aware of the story, my understanding of it was that during an under-13s game, the man at the centre of this, Michael James White, was the team manager of North Haven's under-13 team, and his own son being hit and hurt in the game in some way whilst he was being treated, ran out there and ran into the kid who did it. Seems to be the long and short of it. And then there was some debate within the court about whether there was a raised elbow to the head, whether it was sort of a bump, and that was the element of this that got debated and went to what kind of penalty there was going to be.
But he was in the original judgment.
Well, I was going to say
he was going to jail. 3 months.
I don't know I know the point of this is not where I'm going to take it, but it blew me away that he got a custodial sentence given what we've just been through with Anthony Beck.
Yeah, I was surprised that he got jail time.
This was the one time I ever went, hang on, what? 3 months in the clink?
But there's people who do way worse things than him. Like people who've got, terrible exploitative child material on their computers often get off without a custodial sentence, which is way worse than what this guy did.
Yeah, this was bad, but that did surprise me.
But on appeal, Justice Doyle said he found that White had strong prospects for rehabilitation. This is the father, Michael James White. Said there was good reason to suspend the jail term if he signed a $500 18-month good behaviour bond. I mean, the one thing I would say, yeah, he definitely sounds contrite and says, look, clearly no way I should have done it. Won't happen again. I'm
but
really
a grown
sorry.
man running out, under 13, see, we're talking 11 and 12-year-old boys.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, they're like,
get a grip.
It's primary school.
Get a grip.
Just bizarre.
One of our listeners have ever witnessed any parents behaving badly at school or kids' sport. 8223 0000. Let us know, or you can text us on 0448 08 1395. We're going to check traffic and come back with police and weather in just a moment. Lynn Andrews, real estate experts in commercial and residential property management. lynnandrews.com.au.
Thanks, Will, and morning, David. Roads looking okay for the run-in today. Rakes and breakdown free, which is a great start. Do have works to look out for at Dry Creek. Port Wakefield Road to the Dry Creek ramp, but no great delays through there. Bit of activity at Norwood this morning, the parade near Edward Street, and we are slow for works at Queenstown Port Road near Weber Street. Early morning cameras, Anzac Highway, Glenelg East and Bellew Street at Ingle Farm. Experience the happiest place on earth with Flight Centre. Save over $900 on Disneyland family packages, but only for a limited time. Hurry, book now at Flight Centre. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Your baby or toddler loves interacting with you. And with up to 85% of brain development occurring during the first 3 years, talking, playing, reading and singing are the best ways to help grow their minds. For more information, visit wordsgrowminds.org.au.
I can't manage my pain. My pain manages me.
Too many of us suffer in silence with chronic pain from irritable bowel syndrome and endometriosis. But the search for a remedy is very close. As close as North Terrace and the labs at SAMRI.
Who will help me?
We can all help. So give now to take the pain away. To find out more, go to samri.org.au.
Now, are you looking for the perfect day trip, a place that caters for groups, a place that can offer set price lunches, including a hot Dutch lunch, coffee or tea, and a slice of homemade cake?
The Netherlands, perfect for a day trip. And, of course, by the Netherlands, what I'm saying is the Dutch Pantry in Klemzig. It's like a little Dutch village where you'll find authentic Dutch products, fresh produce, freshly baked cakes, and a cafe bursting with delicious Dutch meals for brekkie, brunch or lunch.
If you're a coordinator or carer looking for new experiences for a group, give Ange a call and ask about her set menu option.
While you're there, you can take a leisurely stroll past the windmill, admire the tulips and the collection of Delft Blue. Experience the Netherlands right here in SA at the Dutch Pantry, located on OG Road, Klemzig.
Just look for the big windmill.
Your old hot water system can drive as much as 40% of your energy bill. Fortunately, you can upgrade to something that's 70% cheaper to run thanks to Right Price. They're the leaders in heat pumps and installation. Now's the time to upgrade and save money on a more efficient hot water system and take advantage of government incentives and free installation. Reduce your energy costs today with a heat pump from Right Price. Make the switch with Right Price Hot Water.
At Right Price, heating and cooling, you can get the price right at Right Price.
You wake up and you're feeling a bit off. Your nose is runny, but maybe it's just a cold. That scratchy throat, though, that could be something worse.
Test for COVID, Flu A, Flu B and RSV in just minutes with Cell Life, the premium 4-in-1 rapid antigen test. Fast, reliable results. Make the smart choice for your health and your family. Insist on the brand the healthcare professionals prefer. Cell Life at leading chemists and Amazon. CELLIFE.
Hyundai end of financial year sale is on now. Jump into the Tucson from $39,990 drive away at your participating Hyundai dealer.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
12 minutes to 7. Let's talk about the weather this week. Hannah Marsh from the Bureau of Meteorology has the forecast for us, but also an update on how we're travelling rain-wise for 2025, Hannah, because all of a sudden we've had a bit of rain. Are we catching up to that average at all?
We are improving, but I wouldn't really say catching up. So we did have 9.2 millimetres in the city in the 24 hours to 9 a.m. on Sunday. That brings our month-to-date total to 51 millimetres, but our June average is still 72.1, and year-to-date we've had 97.8 millimetres, whereas our average to the end of June is usually 248 millimetres. So we're still, close to 150 millimetres below our average to the end of this month.
Not even halfway yet, Hannah.
No, unfortunately not. But as I mentioned, we have seen an improvement in June.
And what's the forecast like for the coming days? There's still a bit of rain on the horizon, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. We've got a front that's moving through as we speak. We are starting to see that shower activity developing. It will continue as we head deeper into the day as well. And we've had a minimum of 9.1 degrees, currently sitting on 10.8 degrees and heading for a maximum of 16 degrees in the city, Elizabeth and Glenelg, and also in Noarlunga with 14 for Mount Barker today. We will see that shower activity easing as we head into the evening period and particularly into tomorrow as well. So just a shower or two around, mainly during the morning period, and looking at a maximum of 16 on Tuesday. Cloudy, 16 degrees on Wednesday. Then we start seeing the temperature increasing, getting up towards 20 degrees for Friday and Saturday, before we do see another system move through, bringing the return of some shower activity and dropping that temperature back again on Sunday.
Good on you, Hannah. Thank you for that. Hannah Marsh at the Weather Bureau. Let's head to SAPOL. Sergeant Peter Williams joins us. Peter, a driver tried to get away from police yesterday at Woodville. Turns out they're in court today, so it doesn't sound like they got far.
No, escape plan failed on this one. In the early hours of Sunday morning, police were travelling on Torrens Road when they spotted a silver Mazda zipping past them on the opposite side of the road. The patrol officers conducted a swift U-turn and followed the speedy Mazda. The driver, obviously clearly not a fan of straight roads, veered into the back streets and eventually ran himself into a dead end on Leslie Street East. At that point in time, he realised his escape plan was flawed and he ditched the car and took off on foot. Police set up cordons before PD Bandit entered the event. The trusty canine sniffed out the man's trail along the Grove, and after a game of hide and seek through several properties, found the man cowering behind a vehicle on Lyle Court. The 57-year-old man from Royal Park was promptly arrested, searched, and a search of his car also revealed a stash of cannabis, some crystalline substance believed to be methamphetamine, and cash. To top it off, his licence showed that he was disqualified from driving. So he's been charged with a laundry list of offences, including driving disqualified, hindering police, unlawfully on premises and trafficking drugs. He's been denied bail and will appear in the Port Adelaide Magistrates Court today, and his vehicle, which is now sitting in the impound lot for 28 days.
Good work by SAPOL there. Pete, also a drink driver's been caught in Nairn.
Yeah, around 4:20 yesterday afternoon, police received a tip-off of a potential drink driver in a Hyundai station wagon in the Nairn area. Patrols swiftly responded and located the vehicle nearby and identified the driver. And when subjected to a breath test, he blew a staggering blood alcohol reading of 0.303, more than 6 times the legal limit.
Cool.
The 53-year-old man from Nairn was reported for drink driving, and his reckless decisions earned him a 12-month loss of licence and his car impounded for 28 days, so he'll attend the Mount Barker Magistrates Court at a later date.
And good. And just finally, Peter, there was a house fire at Nova Gardens overnight. What happened there?
Yeah, rough night for a homeowner in Bonython Avenue. At around 11:20, police and fire crews responded to a house fire. Upon arrival, they found the home fully engulfed in flames. Fortunately, the occupant was not home at the time and no injuries were reported. Fire cause investigators are now working to determine the cause of the fire. And if anyone saw or heard anything suspicious or have any information could help the investigation, we ask them to contact Crime Stoppers on 1800 333 000.
Thank you for that, Peter. Sergeant Peter Williams from SAPOL. We got a text a moment ago from Lisa on the text line, 0448 08 1395, with regard to parents acting badly at kids' sport. Lisa says, I've been at a kids' footy game, might have been under 12s or under 13s, where the crowd were issued with a blue card. From memory, subsequently 2 or 3 were given, and then the game was called off. It was horrible, Lisa says. We all felt so sad for the kids whose game got cancelled due to the behaviour of their families.
Jeez. I just had a flashback. I remember years ago we were playing against one other school and a couple of our parents came over to me and they said, hey, Dave, have you noticed that the opposition, one of their parents is goal umpiring, but he's smoking in the goal square while he's doing it? And I went over to this bloke and I thought, well, okay, thanks for pointing it out. Why do I have to go?
Yeah.
Why do I have to
it's
be
not really it's not really having trouble dealing with their tall forward line, is it?
No.
It's not naturally in the coach's sort of purview.
The fact that the guy also had a large claw tattooed on his left cheek. So I thought, my tactic with this chap is going to be a sort of smoker to smoker type thing, because I was back then a smoker. And I went over to him and said, "Hey, mate, look, I have the odd puff, but do you reckon you could do it not in the goal square while the under fives are playing?" And there were 3 butts on the ground. He already had 3 darts. It's like quarter time, he's non-stop fagging away. And he goes, "Who's complaining?" I went, "A couple of the parents." And he goes, "Why don't you tell them to come over here and tell me to stop smoking?" Okay.
Yeah.
And, I think he finished most of the pack by the end of the game. I won't say where it was.
Yeah, you might have just been in the kids' best interest just to have a sort of a clear out the Ford 50 sort of strategy on that day.
Exactly.
That's extraordinary. Let's head to the United States. Miley Hogan is in Washington, D.C. for Channel 7 in the US Bureau there. Miley, good morning. Did you get to the parade?
Good morning. Yes, I was at the parade yesterday, actually. I was watching the troops march past and the tanks go past and mingling with people, military members, families, and people that were there to support the parade and Donald Trump. Of course, there were a few protests in the Capitol, but nothing compared to the protests that we saw right across the United States, with tens of thousands of people out protesting against the parade.
So, Miley, one thing I have not been able to work out, has a parade like this happened before? There have been parades like this in the past, have there not?
The last parade of this scale in the nation's capital was actually the end of the First Gulf War, so 1991. Please, someone correct me if I've got that date wrong. So it's been decades since there's been a parade of this scale in Washington, D.C. It's actually quite rare for the American military to get out and show off its force. As one lawmaker put it, the world knows that America has this big military might. They don't need to show it off. It's not something that they felt was appropriate. And look, it's an idea that Donald Trump actually wanted to make happen in his first term, but the people around him said, no, this isn't what we do here in the United States. But now that he's back in power and he has a team stacked with loyalists, he was able to make his dream a reality yesterday, but of course it was met with a lot of protest as well.
And Miley, the US president has shared his thoughts online with regard to the ongoing Israel-Iran crisis. What's he said?
Well, he's issued a very stark warning to Iran, saying that the US had nothing to do with the attack on Iran. And if we are attacked in any way, shape or form by Iran, the full strength and might of the US armed forces will come down on you at levels never seen before. He has gone on to urge Israel and Iran to strike a deal to end this conflict. He's posted that there's many calls and meetings taking place at this stage, but hasn't actually provided any detail about that. It appears that a diplomatic path to end this conflict at this stage is limited. We know those tit-for-tat strikes are continuing. There were pre-planned talks to take part today before those initial strikes were set off, but they've now been cancelled as these tit-for-tat strikes continue.
All right. Miley, thank you.
Miley.
Miley Hogan in Washington, D.C., heading up the 7 News US Bureau. You'll see Miley's reports tonight on 7 News from 6 o'clock.
The story that I cannot get my head around out of the US is the assassination of the 2 Democrat politicians, and then also in Minnesota. But the guy who's done it drove 15 k's to the house of another couple who were involved with the Dems and tried to kill them too. He's still on the run. He's wearing like a Halloween type mask when he did it. That country's going to hell in a handbasket, and it's across the divide. I mean, you know, when Trump was shot last year, there were people openly cheering, "Is he dead? Is he dead?" Like, you know, it's meant to be the world's great democracy.
Well, isn't it? Doesn't it? I mean, it's beaten a pretty dead horse now, but doesn't every country have crazy, ill-equipped people to deal with the cut and thrust of political debate, but they just don't all have easy access to guns?
Well, yeah, exactly. Yep.
A minute to 7. It is a shocking story, though. 5AA News is coming up. Our wrap of the morning's big stories are coming up in just a moment, and we're off to Tel Aviv. We'll be chatting with a man who used to call Melbourne home about what it's been like with intercontinental ballistic missiles raining down on you. That's coming up before 8.
This is very serious. The Blackout End of Financial Year sale is live at Edwardstown Mazda with huge in-showroom only deals and serious savings across all new and demo vehicles. Save up to drive away with no ads, no clues, just serious end of financial year value. In-store only. Are you serious about end of financial year? Prove it. Show up. The Blackout Sale, only at Edwardstown Mazda and only in-store. Must end June 30.
Are you ready to navigate retirement with confidence? Join Keaton's free 3-part webinar series starting June 23rd. Hear from industry experts, including Daniel Gannon from the Retirement Living Council, and get real answers to your retirement questions. Whether you join one or all 3 sessions, you'll walk away with practical insights you can trust. Register now at keaton.com.au and take the next step toward a confident future.
Austrac Campers' end of financial year super sale is here. Massive deals kick off this June. So head into your nearest showroom or your local show to save big on rugged off-road campers.
Austrac
Campers. The news and information that matters. This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Showers and 16 with the 7 o'clock news. Good morning, I'm Jade Robran.
Hydrotherapy at Physio Extra Marion, including underwater treadmill, latest rehab facilities and highly trained physios. physioextra.com.
Police are expected to return to the scene today of the iconic 2KW bar and restaurant after a man tragically fell to his death from the rooftop late yesterday afternoon. It was around 4 p.m. when emergency services rushed to the scene. Following the incident, police were seen dusting for fingerprints and taking photographs. Flowers have been left at the scene this morning. Israel has been hit by a fresh wave of Iranian strikes in response to daytime attacks on Tehran. An Australian man holidaying in Israel says he spent the last 72 hours sheltering in bomb shelters as Iran launches a fresh barrage of missiles. Iran claims it's intercepting layers of Israeli defence systems. Daniel Wallman has told Today he isn't sure when he will be able to return safely to his family.
Siren goes off. It's like a sound you've never heard before. Can't even explain the level of the anxiety. And it's not just the anxiety for us being over here, but, you know, our families and young children not being able to go home to them.
A manhunt is underway in Bali for 2 masked men who gunned down 2 Melbourne men. Carolee Katsambanis reports.
Indonesian police have notified all exit points from the island, including Denpasar International Airport, in the hope the attackers are still in Bali. More than a dozen casing shells and bullet fragments have been recovered from the scene. Witnesses telling media it's believed the shooters had Australian accents, claiming they heard one of them say they couldn't start their motorbike before running off. The pair could face the death penalty for the fatal shooting at a luxury villa of 32-year-old Zavan Radmanovic and the injured victim, 34-year-old Sanar Ghanim, former partner of Danielle Stevens, stepdaughter of underworld figure Carl Williams.
Feelings of economic safety and optimism in Australia have plunged to their lowest level in 21 years. A Lowy Institute survey has found 51% of Aussies feel safe about the state of the world. Director Ryan Neelam says most people have little trust in the Trump administration to act responsibly.
Large majorities of Australians disapproved of almost all of Mr Trump's policies that we tested, or significant majorities, ranging from his ambitions to acquire Greenland to his use of tariffs to attempts to negotiate a deal on Ukraine with Vladimir Putin.
New measures are being rolled out to strengthen child safety at early education centres across the country. From the 1st of September, childcare centres will be required to introduce mandatory 24-hour reporting of complaints or incidents of physical or sexual abuse. They'll also be required to have clear policies on taking photos and videos of children. A report is recommending the competition watchdog monitor specialist fees to bring down expensive out-of-pocket fees. The Grattan Institute has found some Australians are paying more than $600 in additional costs to access a one-off appointment. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Get up to 2K loyalty bonus when you trade in during Agostino Mitsubishi's end of financial year sale.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Jade. Port Adelaide is hopeful Jason Horne-Francis will be okay after spending most of the final quarter on the bench in yesterday's 25-point win against Melbourne. The 21-year-old came off with a sore shoulder, but coach Ken Hinkley is hopeful he will be all right to tackle Sydney on Saturday.
It's a bit sore, but I think he should be okay, but we'd like him to be okay because he had a pretty good start coming back.
He looked great. One other game yesterday, Carlton 34-point winners against West Coast in Perth. Meantime, disaster for a Brisbane Premiership defender with Jack Payne out for the rest of the season after a sickening knee injury in the loss to the Giants. Let's go to golf, and the final round of the US Open is set to resume shortly, with Aussie Adam Scott a huge chance to claim his second major 12 years after winning his first. He's currently 1 under, putting him just one shot behind playing partner and leader Sam Burns, who's 2 under. In difficult conditions, Scott almost made eagle from just off the green on the par 5 fourth hole.
You cannot come closer than that and not go in.
Audio there thanks to Fox. Let's go to motorsport and Aussie Oscar Piastri. He's finished 4th in this morning's Canadian Grand Prix in a race that was won by George Russell. The race finished under a safety car after Lando Norris collided with Piastri, forcing him to retire. Norris has since apologised for that incident. The result means Piastri is now 22 points clear of his McLaren teammate at the top of the World Championship standings. And the fallout from a disastrous World Test Championship final against South Africa could spell trouble for Marnus Labuschagne. He opened the batting but failed to take advantage of his opportunity, with reports he may struggle to keep his spot in the side. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thank you, Tom. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Help the Jodie Lee Foundation fight bowel cancer. Round up your purchases in June at Star Discount Chemist.
Morning there. Roads looking okay for the run-in this morning, which is great for a Monday. Simply works to look out for. You'll find them at Salisbury Heights, Main North Road near Target Hill Road. Also Newton, Montague Road near Rosina Street, and slow for works at Norwood, the Parade near Edward Street. Cameras below Red Angle Farm and Blacks Road at Gillis Plains. The BMW Expo sales event is ending soon. Don't miss your chance to enjoy savings equal to the GST on new BMW vehicles. Visit your participating BMW dealer today. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now checking the 5AA forecast.
Stay cosy, stay with CMAX. Visit cmax.com.au now and register your interest today.
Sunny and 18 today, but we're in for some showers for the next few days. Showers tomorrow as well, 16, and again on Wednesday. Right now it is 11 degrees on 5AA, always Adelaide.
Hello. For professional tilers, the all-new Tileworks by National Tiles is life-changing. Tileworks tilers make up to $50,000 per year or more than other tilers. That's give or take an extra $1,000 per week. Yes, Tileworks for professional tilers is life-changing. You get free premium adhesive and grout, free delivery, plus substantial monthly cash rebates. So if you're a professional tiler, find out more about Tileworks and rush to join now at nationaltiles.com.au. Conditions apply.
All right, that'll be absolutely diddly squat.
Woohoo! Buy any vehicle from Suzuki in the city before June 30 and you could win an entire year of groceries from Foodland. T's and C's apply. Licence number T25707. Driven by Australian Motors.
Streaming live via the 5AA Player app on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. This is 5AA, always Adelaide.
Hyundai end of financial year sale is on now. Jump into the Tucson from $39,990 drive away at your participating Hyundai dealer.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
8 after 7, Tom Wren in his sports wrap about 40 minutes ago said words that excite me as we get to 8 after 7. He said Stephen Rowe was going out of his mind on Friday night, which means we're going to hear some of that in about 15 minutes' time when Rowie joins us to wrap the weekend in sports.
He'd built up the 10 wins, 4
quaddie.
losses, the quaddie.
He didn't get his quaddie.
Oh, right at the death.
Yeah, it was heartbreaking.
Just minutes
for the
to go, the quaddie.
We'll chat with
Gamble
Rowie
responsibly.
very shortly. Also, we've spent a bit of the time of the first hour talking about the rain, and whilst we're not exactly catching up to the average, we're doing better than we have been when it comes to rainfall. But what about in the areas that rely on it for their livelihood. Well, Justine's a farmer just out of Jamestown, is going to join us after 7:30 today, and we'll talk to her about whether there's any sign that the season is breaking. Let's jump into the news cycle today, though. There are some developments coming out of the Prime Minister's trip to first Seattle, and now he's landed in Canada ahead of the G7 summit that's taking place there. The headliner out of that, as reported by our man Phil Curry in the Fin Review and in other places, a timeline has been announced for his meeting of US President Donald Trump. They're going to have their first face-to-face meeting on the sidelines of the G7 summit on Wednesday our time, so Tuesday over there, Wednesday morning our time. We'll hear more about this meeting. Of course, on the agenda, big ticket items, the umbrella being the state of our relationship with our biggest and most important ally. AUKUS, where's it at the moment? What about tariffs? What can we possibly do given some of the demands that the US is making? That'll all be on the agenda. Phil Curry is writing from Seattle that part of what the Prime Minister is going to say is he's going to push back on this whole you need to spend X amount of GDP on defence. He's going to say that we have increased spending, but we also do things like provide actual physical military bases and resources for American submarines. We do things with American warships in Australia.
He thinks that Pine Gap, Northwest Cape, all that sort of stuff should be counted as part of our contribution.
That would seem to be the pushback.
Whereas, like if, Poland, for example, wants to spend 5% of its budget on GDP, then of its budget on defence, he's saying, well, they're not doing anything extra like that.
That's right. That figure encompasses everything they do with us or to help us. Whereas I think Anthony Albanese could make a very strong pitch that, well, hang on, there are things that aren't technically defence budget that we're doing in Australia that actually go to a level of cooperation that you're not going to get elsewhere. Here he is talking in Seattle before going to Canada about AUKUS and some of what he's going to talk to the President about.
The potential that AUKUS has to allow for a range of benefits to the United States. It comes from our assistance for the industrial capability in the United States, of which Australia's already contributed $500 million. Australia has currently over 100 personnel in Hawaii as working on maintenance, working on skills, contributing there, as well as many more people here in the United States as well. The benefit that the presence of US Marines has in the Northern Territory is also important, as well as the fuel reserves.
So a little bit of an insight into what's going to happen over the course of the next 48 hours in Canada. He's meeting with the Canadian Prime Minister, Mark Carney, first. I imagine that'll be a fairly cordial discussion.
That'll be more of a friendly catch-up.
Yes.
He might get a few tips off him about, because Carney's proven himself to be a bit of a Trump whisperer since he... It's funny, isn't it, seeing all of these guys preparing it's like some sort of end-of-year exam or something. You're meeting with Trump, you've got to war room it and have, get all your strategic advisors in to throw left-field questions at you. What if he says this? What if he says that? But importantly, when you hear Phil's piece, the way it's described, no journo can write a piece saying, Mr. Albanese will say this, unless Mr. Albanese or senior people in Mr. Albanese's circle have sat Phil down and said, all right, here's the plan. So let's see if it works. Do we know how long the meeting is going to go for?
No, we don't have any. They've been really tight on the details. It was all we've been saying for weeks. They're going to meet at G7, we think. But it got to the point yesterday. I know Richard Marles got interviewed, the Defence Minister, and he was saying, "Oh, well, we're not going to speculate on anything to do with this meeting." To the point that some people started saying, "Is it even happening?" But they've been really buttoned down with all the specifics, so we don't know that. We don't know much about that. Defence, of course, is front of mind, and even more so out of the weekend, given the Israel-Iran conflict turning white hot. We're going to speak with David Elrich before 8 o'clock this morning. Now, David is a former Victorian. Well, he's a Victorian who calls now Tel Aviv in Israel home. We've spoken to him following October 7 and when rocket attacks have rained down on Tel Aviv in the past. And he gives us an insight into what day-to-day life is like there when his home city is under attack. Well, before 8, we're going to play a full interview with him where he goes into more detail about the differences between a Hamas rocket attack and one that has been undertaken by the state of Iran. Have a bit of a listen to what he's going to tell us.
The difference is that the missiles that the Hamas was sending
were not at all accurate, and they were sort of hit and miss, and these weapons are terrible. Whereas these weapons are intercontinental ballistic missiles. They're guided. They have the ability to avoid our missiles, shoot them down, and they're extremely deadly. They've killed 10 people. They've knocked down precincts of buildings in Tel Aviv suburbs, and they're much, much harder to destroy.
We'll be playing that full interview with David just before 8 o'clock. In the meantime, Israel's President Isaac Herzog has been calling for greater international assistance to combat the Iranian attacks.
And I call upon the leaders of the G7 who will convene tomorrow in Canada. They should all be with us. Because if you want to get the nukes out, you better work together with us.
And here's Lieutenant Colonel Nadav Shoshani on those attacks.
It's important to notice there was a truth promise, number one, and number two, when Iran attacked Israel with ballistic missiles before this Israeli operation. And by the way, they were threatening to carry out truth promise number three for months now. They have been planning to carry out an attack against us regardless. We've, in the last 2 nights in Israel, which is morning in Australia, but we've faced hundreds of ballistic missiles and UAVs fired towards Israelis. Those ballistic missiles are fired towards civilian population centers, places like Tel Aviv, Ramat Gan, Haifa, which you spoke about, and we've seen a lot of damage to buildings in Israel. We've also sadly seen casualties in Israel, 14 casualties already from these Iranian attacks.
It's just been extraordinary to watch unfold over the weekend. We've seen the limits of the Iron Dome as well when it comes to dealing with ballistic missiles and hypersonic missiles too. It does much better at missiles that don't leave the Earth's orbit, that stay, don't leave the Earth's atmosphere, that stay much closer to the ground. It's awful to watch unfold. Two powerful states now engaged in a conflict like this.
The technology of that Iron Dome thing's extraordinary, though, isn't it? Just that's what Trump wants to build for the US. How do you do it when you've got 2 gigantic coastlines, though?
Well, I think he wouldn't be covering the coastlines. He doesn't have many votes there, so it wouldn't be an issue. It'd be more of a red state dome, I think.
California.
I think they might just miss out.
Yeah. They'll start on the eastern border of Arizona and work their way inland from there.
More of an internal
Seattle,
dome.
Portland, New York City. Sorry. It's more about what this means for Wichita.
Hey, locally, a big name actor's committed to the Australian Grand Final Supercars event on the 29th of November.
Let's fade into the sun, let your spirit fly, we'll be at one, just for a little fun. Oh yeah, I want to get away.
Gets me every time now, the BP, the new naming, the BP Adelaide Grand Final Supercars event. Lenny Kravitz will be playing. He's touring around the country with Jet as a support act starting in Sydney on the 18th. He'll be in Newcastle, Brisbane, Melbourne, and there'll be a special outdoor concert in Mildura before his tour wraps up at the V8s in Adelaide at the end of November.
61, Lenny Kravitz. He's in pretty good nick.
Is he 61?
He's 61 years old.
You're kidding me.
No, I just did a Google search on him. You look at the picture of him on page 3 of the Tizer, he's got the physique of a 20-year-old.
Jeez,
how do you do that?
You'd feel like this, and I'm sure our listeners would feel like this. 60, when I was in school, felt like, well, you were sort of, you had one foot out
over
the
hill.
door. You were old and haggity and, you could barely move. And 61? 61 now, people today, 61 doesn't look like 30 years ago, 61.
Well, certainly not if you happen to be Lenny Kravitz, but,
well, he's on a different trajectory altogether.
If you're Goliath the Galapagos tortoise, 61, you're in the prime of your youth.
Wait, speaking of 61...
Not even halfway towards fatherhood.
Brad Pitt is 61, and I walked past the sign at the Reading Cinemas at Westlakes, and he's starring to be a driver in the Formula One movie that's coming out. He's 61 years of age.
Oh, look, I think in our defence, Will, they've got a lot of people around them who help them with their diet. And
you're right.
They've probably got like personal trainers. Well, you probably get a bit of that through Channel 7, I guess, these days, don't you?
Nope.
You got your own dietitian?
No, won't surprise anyone. There's none of that kind of support.
I was wondering last night, Dancing with the Stars, a lot of the 7 talent, like I saw Michael Usher is on it, and I said to Kay, I wonder when Will's going to go on it. Can I just ask you that now on live radio? Have there been internal talks about this? Because I'll tell you what, if there's the only thing that might ever get me watching Dancing with the Stars. Did they see your gymnastics routine? Because I'll tell you what, that is almost like an audition tape.
I have enough moments where I think, me and TV, What do you think about this? I think if the call came for Dancing with the Stars, that might be the sign from the heavens.
Yeah, that's right.
That I'm in the wrong place.
I'm out.
Yeah,
I'm out.
That's right. At 19 minutes after 7, we're going to check traffic. And Stephen Rowe is coming up in just a moment. Visit Jarvis Toyota's new home on Brighton Road, Summerton Park, for savings across the Toyota certified pre-owned range.
Thanks, Will. Roads are looking really good for the run-in today. Rakes are breakdown free. You shouldn't have too many hassles getting to work today, which is a good start to Monday. Do our works to look out for at Salisbury Heights, Main North Road near Target Hill Road. Also at Dry Creek, Port Wakefield Road to the Dry Creek ramp. And starting to get a little bit busy at the moment, O'Halloran Hill. Those works on the Southern Expressway near Majors Road for the new on and off ramps. Cameras, Lyons Road, Holden Hill and Marlborough Street to Fulham Gardens. Breakfast is sorted at Guzmani Gomez. Grab a brekkie burrito and medium coffee for just $10. The $10 brekkie combo available till 10:30 a.m. daily at select GYG stores. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
5AA Mornings with Graham Goodings.
Pepper spray. Is it time for it to be legalised in South Australia? The Northern Territory is set to become the second jurisdiction in Australia to allow members of the public to own capsicum or pepper spray. SA Best MLC Connie Benares has long been calling for it to be legalised.
Graham Goodings.
I guess it's about the confidence of being able to leave your home and go out and feel safe.
Weekday mornings from 9 on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Some things are worth waiting for, like tickets to your favourite concert, waiting for a nice bottle of Red to breathe, or waiting for the kids to finally unpack the dishwasher. But waiting to get your air conditioner serviced just before summer or winter really hits? It's just not worth the pain. Get in touch with Morford Air now for servicing or a new system. Put it at the top of your to-do list. When it's too hot or cold to bear, reach for the Morford Air. morfordair.com.au.
Morford. Planning your next event? Choose a venue where everything comes together. Adelaide Convention Centre. It's where your vision and our expertise come together, where creative cuisine meets extraordinary productions and excitement and innovation combine in a space that is truly world-class. From corporate gatherings to grand celebrations, we make every occasion unforgettable. Bring your event to life in a venue where it all comes together. Search Adelaide Convention Centre and start planning your next event today.
Are you looking to understand what the 2025-26 state budget means for business in South Australia? Well, don't miss the 2025 Economic Outlook Luncheon on Wednesday, June 25, featuring an exclusive interview with the Treasurer, Stephen Mulligan.
He'll break down the key budget decisions and where the money's going, from healthcare and housing to infrastructure and education, and what it means for you and others in the public sector. With a live Q&A, this is your chance to hear directly from the Treasurer and ask the questions that matter most.
If you're in the public sector and want to understand the state's direction, well, this is the event for you. Seats are limited, so book now at IPAA.org.au. The 2025 Economic Outlook Luncheon brought to you by IPAA SA.
Signs you may have big D envy. You've been invited to a mate's house to watch the footy, but you decline. Another mate's having a birthday bash. You make up an excuse not to attend. And finally, you feel like your partner is comparing what you have to what your mates have. Avoid big D envy. Get in touch with Big Difference Home Improvements. From outdoor blinds to stunning verandas, pergolas, timber decking and carports, Big Difference Home Improvements will change your life. BigDifference.com.au.
Hi, Pretty Bit here for Mawson Lakes Mazda. With all the end of financial year deals we've got going, you really should be here too. All makes, models and colours are being cleared, no exceptions. And there's a huge range of low-K demos, all ready for immediate delivery. Plus, you'll get free on-roads, free stamp duty, free 12-month rego and $500 worth of accessories. No gimmicks, just great deals. Mawson Lakes Mazda, Salisbury Highway, T's and C's apply.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
Hyundai end of financial year sale is on now. Jump into the Tucson from $39,990 drive away at your participating Hyundai dealer.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
23 after 7, remarking about how Lenny Kravitz is looking good for 61. Chris has texted in. He says, boys, 61's not old. I had a stroke at 49 and ran my first marathon at 59 years old in New York City last year. Running Berlin this year. Age is but a number.
Yeah.
Good on you, Chris.
Absolutely. Yeah.
First marathon at 59. That is exceptional work.
Could be me in 3 years, Will, if I ever, start jogging around the block and stuff.
Oh, yeah. You'd have some long-distance chops, wouldn't you? How do you know?
Not a snowball's chance in hell.
All right, thank you. Scott says, boys, I see Flyers 1 doesn't stretch into the studio, David. What a stitch-up. And as much as you don't want to do it, we don't want to see it, Will. Thank you, Scott. I think you're on my side. I think.
Yeah, no, we all are, Will.
Yeah, good.
We all
Excellent. Thank you.
Stephen Ryan on 5AA Breakfast.
Oh, big weekend in sport to talk about, stretching right back to Friday night. When if you're in the stadium roof business, I think you fielded some calls on Saturday morning. That was shocking to watch. Rowie, you called it, and good morning to you.
Pembo, Will, good morning. Yeah, Crows lost, Port won, the Proteas beat us at Lords. I think the T-Birds won. What else? Iran and Israel bombing each other. US is imploding. What's our debt? $1 trillion. So an indifferent weekend, chaps. Where do you want to start?
So after all that, the word you came up with was indifferent.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to get it away from the Crows. See how I did that? I was just taking it away.
You put it in perspective.
Yeah, look, Crows didn't lose any admirers on that game Friday night, and it's very hard to be critical of their game at the moment. I think they simply lost a couple of big moments. One of them was attributed to my mate, the Quiff, and I'll leave it there. But if there's one work on, people know that, listen, they know, I know you know. If there is one work on, it's how they play protecting a lead. It's been an ongoing problem. Just have a look at the history of it. They have no problem chasing a win. They can chase a win because it's when they play their best. But they struggle in a sporting term of closing out the set. So, you know what? They're 9 wins, 5 losses. They've got the bye. They're equal 4th. The best scoring team, best defensively since round 6. I'd take that before round 1, wouldn't you? 9 and 5?
Well, yeah, but you would. But if you look at the game in isolation, it was there to be won.
Yes.
The execution in front of goal was woeful.
Yes.
We should have been 5 goals up at half time. All
of that.
I don't know.
Yep.
I think fans are entitled to be frustrated by it. And again, it goes to the criticism that the Crows at home they're champions, but on the road they struggle.
Well, they led for 112 minutes of that game, Pembo.
Yeah, except at the end.
Well, that's right, and that was the most important bit. Yeah, I've got that. Hey, no one's more disappointed than me and our production manager at the station, because we had a production piece that the minute the siren went was going to be played, and it was lifting lids and all sorts of things. So no one was.
You fixed it. Edited together a lid
Yes,
lifting.
I did. Yep,
Oh my goodness!
The footy gods have got me. They have
the
bit
gods.
me. Yep, they bit me fair on the lemonade and sarms.
If you take the last 8 quarters as one as opposed to 2 separate games, it felt like the Crows got the rub of the green with bad goal kicking in one game, and then they were on the other end of it in the second, and it all evened out in the end. Hey, you're going to have a very up and about Timmy G in the studio today, because him and Treaders were going through the next month of games for Port after the game yesterday, and all of a sudden they're starting to say things like top 8. Not far away. Anything can happen.
See, anybody that thinks I haven't rubbed off on little Timmy G, Captain Conservative, well, I have. Oh, man, I have. Well, they're saying hello. Last week, Ken said we poked our head around the corner, and I've got themselves in a little quaddie as well. So they won against GWS. They won yesterday. They got Sydney and Carlton at home. That's their little quaddie. But look, they're back. They are back. They're hunting pressure. They got their stoppage game. Their kick to handball ratios bit better. They connected inside 50. All the things they've had to work on. I mean, Mitch kicking 7 helps. He should have kicked 10, but they got their game back. And full credit to Kent, because he's stoic. competitive, never give up, stick it up your jumper, all that sort of stuff that he is. It's coming through, so well done. Give credit where it's due. They were good yesterday.
They were good.
The good thing for him too, I reckon, Rowie, is that it looks like there's actually a few entry points into the top 8. I mean, Freo yesterday beating North at home in Perth by just one goal.
Yeah.
Like they are not a convincing top 8 member at the moment. So if Port can knock off those middle sides like Carlton and that, they can sneak in.
They can, and their best is bloody good. The stats are from round 15, 2 in and 2 out in that top 8. So who are the 2 in and who are the 2 out? I think Bulldogs need to be in there. They're sitting 9th at the moment. But no, well, I didn't hear that with Timmy. I was too busy doing things. So he's starting to get the cart before the horse, is he?
Oh, no, there was a bit of, Timmy, he's conservative, but
I
there
was
a smile in the voice after the game.
That's a bit rich coming from you, given you got the Can You Feel It audio ready to play on Friday night.
Mate, this production piece was something to behold, and we're not going to hear it. No, you can't now. No. We'll play it when it's ready. We might have to wait till we're actually locked away in the 8. But,
that piece of audio needs to be found. The hard drive needs to be put into a microwave somewhere.
Yeah.
And it needs to be burnt to ash.
I'm telling you, it is all my fault. All due credit to myself. I've stuffed the crows up again.
It's like the video in Ring. You've got to make somebody else listen to it now, Rowie, or else the curse is going to continue. Good on you, Rowie.
See ya, boys.
This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Showers and 16 with the 7:30 news. Good morning, I'm Jade Robran.
Keep in shape with Physio-instructed clinical Pilates and gym classes at 6 locations. PhysioExtra.com.
Flowers have been left at the scene outside Adelaide's 2KW bar and restaurant, where a man tragically fell to his death from the rooftop late yesterday afternoon. Emergency services were called just after 4 p.m. and police are expected to return today as investigations continue. A 57-year-old man from Royal Park will face court today following a police chase in Woodville. Police pursued a silver Mazda that was seen speeding on Torrens Road, and after hitting a dead end, the man fled on foot but was soon caught by police dog PD Bandit. Constable Peter Williams says police found a quantity of drugs in the car.
A search of his car also revealed a stash of cannabis, some crystalline substance believed to be methamphetamine, and cash. To top it off, his licence showed that he was disqualified from driving.
Israel has been hit by a fresh wave of Iranian strikes in response to daytime attacks on Tehran. Europe correspondent Jessica Millward reports.
A fresh wave of Iranian missiles has hit Israel, most intercepted, but some have got through. The port city of Haifa struck with multiple buildings and cars on fire, and there are reports of several injuries. Israel continues to hit Iran, the country's intelligence chief and his deputy killed, and more military targets bombed. Both sides are vowing to continue hitting the other, this war only escalating.
Funerals have been taking place for some of the victims of the doomed Air India flight. Investigators have located the second black box from the site of the plane crash. The BBC's Grant Ferret has more.
It's a sign of the intensity of the impact of the crash that it's taken investigators 3.5 days to find the cockpit voice recorder. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner was loaded with fuel when it smashed into a residential area less than a minute after takeoff, creating a huge fireball. With both the black box recorders now retrieved, it's hoped that the exact cause of the disaster will be identified. As they wait for answers, some of the relatives of the 270 victims have become frustrated by the speed of the identification process.
1 in 10 patients are forking out almost $600 a year in out-of-pocket specialist doctors' fees. Psychiatry, cardiology and paediatrics have the largest average out-of-pocket costs per consultation. New research has found Gen Z is in the grip of an adulting crisis. 1 in 4 admit to having never paid their own bills or cooked meals at home for a week. Parenting expert Dr. Justine Coulson says they're a victim of their times.
When you move out of home, I don't know if you remember this or not when it happened to you, but you kind of do want to live the same level of lifestyle that you lived when you were at home. But it took your parents 20 or 30 years to get there, and you just can't move out and start living that way straight away. You do have to work from the bottom up.
Lenny Kravitz is coming our way to perform at the Adelaide Supercars race in November. It'll be his first tour down under in 13 years. Kravitz will play the Saturday night concert at the BP Adelaide 500 on November the 29th to wrap up his Blue Electric Light Tour of Australia. And one man who will definitely be there, Tommy Wren. Let's take a look at sport.
Get a 3K cash card on selected models during Agostino Mitsubishi's end of financial year sale.
Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning. It's great news, isn't it, Jade? That's for sure. Let's start with golf, though. Things are getting very tight at the US Open at Oakmont, with players back on course after a delay due to the dangerous weather. American Sam Burns has just made bogey on the par 4 ninth hole, while Aussie Adam Scott just made a par, meaning the lead is now only one shot.
Important par for Adam Scott. Sure was. Now the front nine played a stroke harder than what the back nine's played so far. Look at that scorecard. 4 bogeys. Only 1 birdie on the par 5.
Audio thanks to Fox. Scott is now at even par, while Burns is still leading at 1 under. Let's go to football. Port Adelaide's confident star midfielder Jason Horne-Francis will be okay to face Sydney on Saturday after coming off with a sore shoulder in yesterday's impressive 25-point win against Melbourne at home. Mitch Georgiades was the star with 7 goals in a result that lifts the Power to 11th spot. Meantime, Harry Mackay may require surgery on his injured knee. Carlton coach Michael Voss says they're assessing the options.
I'm not sure. We have to explore that. It'd be too early for me to say, other than to say that we need to investigate it further, and obviously seeing a specialist is one of those steps that we'll take.
Meantime, Charlie Curnow injured his calf in Perth last night as the Blues beat West Coast by 34 points. And in some motorsport, George Russell has clinched Mercedes' first victory of the season in the Canadian Grand Prix. It was a dramatic end to the race after a collision between McLaren teammates Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris ended with Norris crashing out. Piastri finished 4th, Norris taking responsibility for the collision and apologising to the Australian. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thank you, Tom. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Help the Jodie Lee Foundation fight bowel cancer. Round up your purchases in June at Star Discount Chemist.
Morning there. Roads are looking too bad for the run-in today. No great hassles, which is a good start to a Monday. Do have some works to look out for at Dry Creek today. Port Wakefield Road near the Dry Creek ramp. Also a bit of activity at Norwood this morning. The parade near Edward Street. Slow going South Road, Cloverleigh Park with the Canberra this morning. Anzac Highway at Glenelg East. Drive away in a new MG with incredible end of financial year deals on a selected range of vehicles. See mgmotor.com.au ends June 30. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Stay cosy, stay with CMAX. Visit cmax.com.au now and register your interest today.
Showers and 16 today, a shower or 2 and 16 tomorrow. Cloudy and 16 again on Wednesday. Right now it's 11 degrees on 5AA, always Adelaide.
It can happen at any time, more often than you think. Suddenly, through illness or accident, you could lose the capacity to manage your financial or personal affairs. What happens next? Who makes medical or health decisions? Who controls the family trust? From the simplest to the most complex wills and estate plans, Donlan Lawyers will answer your questions and help carry out your wishes. For wills and estate planning, visit donlanlawyers.com, Hindmarsh Square, Adelaide, and Ocean Street, Victor Harbour.
I can't manage my pain. My pain manages me.
Too many of us suffer in silence with chronic pain from irritable bowel syndrome and endometriosis. But the search for a remedy is very close. As close as North Terrace and the labs at SAMRI.
Who will help me?
We can all help. So give now to take the pain away. To find out more, go to samri.org.au.
Steinborner Automotive in Gawler, Barossa and Clare has always been well worth the trip, especially with their end of financial year sale on over 500 new, used and demo cars, including a great range of new and demo Mitsubishi Tritons at heavily reduced prices. Plus, they're offering an additional $1,500 trade-in bonus on all trade-ins. Head to Steinborner Mitsubishi in Nuriutpa or view the whole range at steinborner.com.au. Steinborner Automotive, it's well worth the trip.
Swearing is caring at Bioban Bathrooms and Kitchens. Chloe, the communications manager at Bioban, let a ripper loose the other day. Now, Chloe swears to keep you informed at every stage of your bathroom or kitchen renovation, and it means you'll never be left guessing as to what's going on, that's quality swear jar material.
Is it ever? And here's one from Jasmine, the operations manager at Biourban Bathrooms and Kitchens. Jasmine swears that all deadlines and production will be conducted efficiently and effectively.
And how about this from Laura, who's one of the designers? Now, Laura swears to ensure that your requests are met and combined with carefully selected finishes to achieve your dream space.
For a team that swears to deliver on quality and service, see Biourban Bathrooms and Kitchens, Adelaide's home renovation experts.
For those whose pool is the main feature of their yard, Walco offer a special mesh cover to keep debris and leaves out while making your pool area look stunning all through winter. Join the great cover-up and ask Walco about their stylish new mesh pool covers. Walco.com.au.
Fluorio Milk Company will always put SA first, and you can too. When you reach for milk, reach for Fluorio Milk Company products and support our dairy farmers and their families. We guarantee that all our milk is 100% South Australian and it's always fresh. We have over 24 refrigerated trucks shipping Fluorio milk to cafes, restaurants and supermarkets all over SA. Look for the local in your supermarket. Fluorio Milk Company. We're for SA dairy farmers.
Hyundai end of financial year sale is on now. Jump into the Tucson from $39,990 drive away at your participating Hyundai dealer.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
20 minutes to 8, we're off to Tel Aviv shortly. We'll be chatting with David Elrich, who we've spoken to in the past, from Melbourne originally, get some insights into what it's like living as the conflict between Iran and Israel is now officially white hot. That's coming up. Then after breaking at 8 today, we're going to send some more people off to Best of SA that's taking place on Friday night here in Adelaide as we profile some of the wonderful local South Australian businesses that mean so much to people here in SA. The other people that mean a lot to South Australians and people right around the country are those on our land that feed us and provide at often great sacrifice to make sure that this country runs and works. And sometimes they need a bit of help from Mother Nature. They have not been getting it in South Australia so far in the last, well, I was going to say this year, but it goes back further than that. Justine Reynolds runs Woodley Hills. And Justine, I think we spoke to about 10 days ago. She has been the recipient of some of these hay bales that we'll talk to her about in a moment. But Justine might be interested. Here's what Hannah Marsh from the Weather Bureau said to us a short time ago.
So we did have 9.2 millimetres in the city in the 24 hours to 9 a.m. on Sunday. That brings our month-to-date total to 51 millimetres. But our June average is still 72.1, and year-to-date we've had 97.8 millimetres, whereas our average to the end of June is usually 248 millimetres. So we're still, close to 150 millimetres below our average to the end of this month.
Yeah, that's not news to Justine, who joins us from Washpool, which is 20 k's out of Jamestown. Did you guys get any rain over the weekend, Justine?
Yeah, we did. Probably about 6 mils, I think.
How much more do you need at the moment, Justine?
All of it. Well, our average rainfall is about 18 to 20 inches over the year, and generally, obviously, it's going to have to start probably a month ago for us to get going in the crop. So, it needs to start raining a bit more. We really, really appreciate the rain that we've had. It's a good start, but it's a long way to go.
How are you going with your own water supply for your own use? Has that been a problem?
Yeah, of course your dams dry up, and then you've got some bore water, and that's sort of not always reliable. So we're pretty blessed. We can hook into the mains here. So
yeah,
but that costs us money
you
as well. So yep.
Yeah, that hay delivery you got, Justine, when we last spoke to you about 10 days ago. How long will that last?
Till today.
Right. Oh, really?
We've got 3 bales left, so they'll go out today.
So what happens tomorrow? For feeding stock and so forth.
You always start buying more. Yep.
So when you said before, Justine, getting ready for the crops, what are you farming there?
So we put in canola, wheat and barley. Yeah.
And all of that obviously is weather dependent. You can't sort of turn on the tap for it, can you? It's all at the mercy of the elements.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. So when was the last time You got income, Justine, from the farm?
Well, I guess it's all relative. I mean, you'll sell some sheep, but it's not going to cover the debt that you've got.
But selling sheep's not normal order of business. I mean, the cropping that you usually do.
Oh, so we're a mixed farming, so we sheep.
Oh, okay,
we do sheep and cropping. So we're probably blessed in that way as well that we do have that backup. But I mean, like last season with our crop, we probably made 20% of what we usually make. So it doesn't even cost putting it in the ground. It doesn't cost your bank loans, your insurance, or anything like that. And I don't think people realise that. Most of us farmers live on overdrafts, and we've got to pay those overdrafts off.
So if people in your area are sole cropping farms, they probably haven't covered their costs for what, a year, 2 years?
Yep, definitely one.
Wow.
Yep, possibly two. And there's a lot bigger farmers than us out there that would be, their losses would be a lot more. Yeah, so it's just crazy to think that the government don't see the point in helping us feed our stock to feed the country, or helping us keep the crops going to feed the country. And it's not just feeding the country; it's food and fibre. And what do we do if we don't have this? What's the answer from the government? Where are they going to get it from?
Yeah, well, good question. So, Justine, what's the nearest town for you is Jamestown, isn't it?
Pretty well. We're smack in the middle of Jamestown, Spalding.
Yeah, right. So on a weekend, do you ever go in a town to meet friends, have a counter meal, or are you mainly on the farm?
Footy.
Yeah, footy.
This time of year, we've got footy. What's
the vibe of when you're chatting with people at footy on a Saturday? What is everyone sort of feeling the same as you about all this stress about the weather and a bit of a sense of despondency about the level of support?
Definitely with the level of support from the government. The fact that there's other farmers and other people out there that are doing what they're doing to deliver hay out of their own pocket, off their own farms, in their own trucks and their fuel, and the logistics of all that. That was incredible for the town, and I guess we feel pretty alone when it comes to support. But when other people put their hand in their pocket to come and help us, it was like the cavalry was coming in. I guess we're all in the same boat, and we're all just hoping and waiting for rain, and that's all you can do. And people talk, so that's good. You've got to keep talking. You've got to keep talking about it. That helps.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll stay in touch with you, Justine. We always appreciate our chats. Justine Reynolds, the owner of Woodley Hills there, just down the road from Jamestown. Beautiful part of South Australia.
Great insights into the plight of farming in 2025.
I love
Thanks
doing
for that, Justine.
all our country chats.
Yeah.
Because it's not a world that you relate to unless you're reminded of it, living in the suburbs where...
I love the way they all speak too.
Yeah, just very
There's
practical.
no obfuscation. There's no exaggeration. It's just, this is how it is.
Yeah.
It's all very matter of fact.
Yeah, exactly.
Thank you for that, Justine. We're going to take a break. In a moment, we're going to be chatting with David Elrich. We recorded this interview just before we came on air this morning, in large part because David lives in Tel Aviv and he doesn't know when he's going to be called into a bomb shelter at the moment, of course, because Israel and Iran are exchanging missile attacks even as we speak. In fact, 30 minutes ago, he just sent us a text message saying, I've been called back into my bomb shelter. And the goings on before the interview was he said, I'll do it whenever I can, so long as it's during a point where we're not in the shelters. So
bear in mind too, like he's been called into the shelter. When we interviewed him, it was almost midnight, wasn't it, over there? Because it was 5:45. We did the interview before we started broadcasting this morning. So it was 2 o'clock in the morning. There'd be people with, families and stuff up and down all night in the shelter, out of the shelter. What a way to live.
It is extraordinary. They're used to it in part, but not the power and velocity of missiles that have been sent their way from Iran. We'll talk to David about that experience on the other side of this break, so don't go anywhere. Traffic first, though. Visit Jarvis Toyota's new home in Brighton Road, Summit and Park for savings across the Toyota certified pre-owned range.
Thanks, Will. At North Adelaide, a car being poled on War Memorial Drive near the Adelaide Oval. Not causing too many headaches, though. At Norwood, the parade near Edward Street has works. We are slow at Dry Creek, Port Wakefield Road to the Dry Creek ramp, and getting busy for the drive-in Marion Road to the Anzac Highway intersection. Early morning cameras, Howard Terrace, Leabrook, and Lyons Road at Holden Hill. It's end of fin year at Flight Centre with savings of up to 50% on holidays, cruises and tours, plus up to 75% off hotels. Hurry, ends June 30. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
South Australia brings you the simple pleasure of a long, long lunch. Welcome to the land of the long lunch, the home of the share plate, where one is encouraged to graze the day away and absolutely always have a look at the dessert menu. South Australia, celebrate the simple pleasures.
Deliver more with Toyota, the world's #1 forklift brand. Choose from a great range including pallet jacks, walkie stackers and reach forklifts, right up to their leading Toyota counterbalance forklifts. Legendary reliability and safety with cleaner, greener electric options. Toyota can tailor the right forklift solution for you. It's all part of the Toyota Forklift Advantage. For more, visit toyotamaterialhandling.com.au. Get a Toyota forklift.
It's great to have mates to help you out, especially if they have a trailer, but what if they're not available? Well, that's when you need a mate like Matthew from Avis Truck Rental Adelaide.
He's the best mate you'll ever have. Absolutely cracking guy, Matt. He runs the depot at Avis Truck Rental Adelaide, and he's always ready to help. I've been there several times for my dump runs and trips back and forth between Aldinga and home. It doesn't matter if you're moving house, picking something up from the local hardware store, or planning a holiday, Avis Truck Rental Adelaide have got you covered. And just ask Matt for the 5AA fixed price.
And here's an idea. You can organise a 12-seater Avis minibus that you can drive on a car licence, head to Melbourne for the footy, or do your own personal wine tour. Get everyone going to the Barossa with friends. Magnificent.
Trust your mate Matthew at Avis Truck Rental Adelaide. He's always keen to help out. Great bloke, wonderful family. Jump online at avis.com.au or call 8241 5200.
Introducing the Caliente by Beechwood Homes, a multi-level masterpiece of design, innovation and style. Inspired by the effortless glamour of Palm Springs in California, it's bathed in natural light through clever architectural design. At its heart, a stunning 6-metre island bench anchors a kitchen that's as beautiful as it is functional. The Caliente is open for viewing at 10 Simon Crescent, Craigburn Farm, Saturdays and Sundays 1 to 4:30pm. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home.
Hi. Daniel Talley here, General Manager of Home. That's HAUME. Put simply, we buy homes. We don't charge fees, there's no advertising costs or commissions, none of that. We just make the process of selling your home easy. So if you're looking to downsize and have a home built before the 90s, we'll be able to help you save time, money and the effort it takes to sell. Thinking of downsizing? Visit home.com.au. That's HAUME.com.au.
5AA Breakfast is streaming live right now. To watch, simply head to 5AA on Facebook or YouTube. Hyundai end of financial year sale is on now. Jump into the Tucson from $39,990 drive away at your participating Hyundai dealer.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
Let's go to Tel Aviv now, where we catch up with David Elrich, a former Melbourne man who moved to Israel a number of years ago, and we've spoken to in the past. David, good morning to you, and thanks for joining us again on 5AA Breakfast. I think we've spoken to you previously in the context of missile strikes on Tel Aviv. How is this different?
That is correct, yes. The difference is that the missiles that the Hamas was sending were not at all accurate, and they were sort of hit and miss in these weapons of terror, whereas these weapons are intercontinental ballistic missiles. They're guided. They have the ability to avoid our missiles, shoot them down, and they're extremely deadly. They've killed 10 people. They've knocked down precincts of buildings in Tel Aviv suburbs, and they're much, much harder to destroy. And they're also coming in much greater quantities too from a more determined enemy.
David, it was about 10 a.m. Friday. We just finished our show here when the news broke of Israel going after Iran's nuclear capability with the surprise attack. From that point on, have you and other Israelis been bracing yourselves for what you've been enduring for the last 72 hours? Did you expect that this would be Iran's response?
Yeah, the whole country expected that would be the response. I think it was about 3 a.m. our time or something like that, and all of a sudden we were woken with sirens, which everybody thought were already the Iranian attacks, but they weren't. And then on Friday it was relatively quiet. The supermarkets were very full. People were buying what they needed for Saturday, which is the Sabbath here. And then on Friday night, in the middle of the Friday night Sabbath dinners, we had, I can't remember if it was either 2 or 3 sirens. We had to run down to the shelters. And then on the day itself, we also had 2, and then Saturday night we also had. People knew what was going to happen.
When we've spoken previously,
people thought it was actually going to be far worse than what it actually is. I think that's what people have thought.
Okay.
I think that the authorities had prepared for something much worse than what's actually happened.
That goes to my next question then, because when we've spoken previously, comfort sounds like a silly word in this context, but you've spoken about how the bunkers that you've got either in homes or indeed in public places in Tel Aviv afford the population a degree of comfort when rocket attacks have happened in the past. Do they hold up as well, given the scale of these attacks and the size of these missiles that are now raining down?
Yeah, well, what happened in Bat Yam, which is a suburb of Tel Aviv, that a building and other places took direct hits. People who were actually in their shelters or in their secure rooms were actually okay, as far as I know. They showed a picture in the press of a building which had been demolished, and the column of secure rooms, because people mostly live in apartments here, was intact. And the people there were okay. Our building is an older building, so we have a shelter downstairs, which is also okay. I mean, the belief is that if you do the right thing and you go to your shelter, and you've got about 10 minutes from when they start shooting to get to it, you will be okay. It could be that there were some people who didn't get there on time. It could be that people lived in old buildings and didn't have them. It could be that some people just thought it wasn't necessary and didn't really understand the danger behind it. I don't know how it happened. I haven't read how it happened, how they were killed. I don't know. But the belief is, and the practice is, that if you go according to the regulations, then you will be okay. And that's what we've done so far. Our area was hit with fragments last night, but there's been no damage in our city. But as you saw on the TV, there has been in other places.
David, despite the civilian deaths and hundreds of injuries as well, and obviously it sounds from what we're hearing overnight, Australian time Sunday, that the death toll will rise again. Do you think most Israelis would still be kind of relieved that the Israeli government has taken this action? Because the last thing you want is a nation that believes Israel should be wiped off the map, having its own collection of nuclear weapons. Is that the sentiment?
I would say that everybody's behind the government at the moment. The opposition is behind the government. I would say all the people are behind the government at the moment, yes. But you know what watching a news segment is like. People watch for a few minutes and then they move on to the next thing, and people change channels on TV so quickly. I think that if it's not over soon, people will lose patience. I think the West will start getting nasty, and I think the population here could also lose patience if there aren't results. But most people think this should be over within 2 weeks tops. I hope. I hope. There was talk that they're going to go after Khamenei, or whatever his name is, the president or the supreme leader of Iran. Reports I saw in tonight's press said Trump said don't, and said, oh no, we weren't going to do that. But that was the original intention. There are also many Iranians. They picked up reports. I saw a report today on the TV here of Iranians who are extremely happy in Iran of what's going on and want Israel to take out this regime here, because they want their freedoms back, they want their lives back. They're sick of what's going on there. They're not interested in nuclear power. They want to, live as free people, not under a tyrannical society there, which is what's going on. So there is actually support in Iran too for what's going on. There are Iranians in Iran on Israel's side. I just wish the rest of the West would perhaps play ball and choose which side of history to be on. I don't think that the British and the French and the Germans have been particularly helpful. I don't know if they're scared, I don't know if they're woke, I couldn't tell you. But they haven't been as helpful as they were last time when they helped Israel shoot down the missile barrage. And then there was basically no damage last time.
You mentioned the 10-minute warning you get to go to a bunker. How many times have you been in and out of your bunker or a bunker over the course of the last 3 days?
Probably more fingers than on my hands.
Wow. Really? So what happens? Is it somewhat predictable? Does it come every couple of hours?
No, it's not predictable at all. Not at all predictable. I mean, we figure we'll get in the middle of the night because, the inverted commas, the scary time is, when they catch people off guard, and that some people might be a bit tired, they might not make it to their security place on time and everything. It happened, I think it happened this morning, it happened on Friday night. There's no predictable times at all. They shoot when they can, and they don't shoot at everybody at the same time too. So the whole country might get an alert that something's going on because the authorities are able to send alerts to all phones. Even if the phone is on silent, it will still ring. And you've got X amount of minutes, 10 minutes at tops, to get yourself ready and be prepared. But then your area might not actually be hit. It could be a different area that's been hit. Like, I think it was today, I live near Tel Aviv and near Haifa, which is about an hour and a half north of where I live, was hit. That was today, yesterday, you lose track of the time. But and other areas are hit, so not everyone's hit at exactly the same time. The thing is, the Houthis, also from Yemen, are also firing rockets too and sending in drones and that sort of thing. I mean, you wonder what's got into these people. You wonder why they can't just be like the family of nations and just want to live good lives. It's just they worship death and destruction. It's very sad. Very sad.
David, it's been an illuminating chat again, mate. You stay safe and
thank you.
You and your family, and we'll talk to you again, no doubt. Thank you so much, David.
Yeah, I will look forward to it. Okay,
fantastic. Thank you, David.
Local news and information first. This is 5AA News, always Adelaide.
Showers and 16 with the 8 o'clock news. Good morning, I'm Jade Robrin.
Hydrotherapy at Physio Extra Marion, including underwater treadmill, latest rehab facilities and highly trained physios. PhysioExtra.com.
Police are investigating a house fire in Nova Gardens last night. It broke out on Benithan Avenue at about 11:20. The occupant wasn't home and there are no reports of injuries. The cause of the fire is unclear. Israel has been hit by a fresh wave of Iranian strikes in response to daytime attacks on Tehran. The Israeli Prime Minister has warned Iran will pay a very high price for killing civilians in missile strikes. Benjamin Netanyahu accused Iran of deliberately targeting civilians.
Iran will pay a very high price for the murder of civilians, women and children, which they did intentionally. We will both achieve our goal and strike them with one decisive blow.
Translation from the BBC there. Iranian media suggests more than 120 people have been killed in Israeli attacks. The Defence Minister says securing the AUKUS pact with the US is never more important in the face of rising geopolitical tensions. The Prime Minister is expected to have his first in-person meeting with President Donald Trump on Wednesday, where he'll raise the future of the submarine deal. Richard Miles has told Today he's confident the agreement is on track.
We keep moving ahead very firmly with AUKUS, and all the signs from the United States are positive about AUKUS. That's the important point to make. In the conversations I've had with my counterpart and all that's been said in America, they understand the strategic benefit in relation to AUKUS for them.
And Michael Packy is covering the G7 summit in Canada, where Prime Minister Anthony Albanese has touched down.
The PM has a host of meetings lined up with various world leaders attending the Economic and Security Conference here in Calgary. Today, he's involved in formal talks with G7 host and Canadian counterpart Mark Carney, focusing on defence, climate issues and trade. But most attention will be on Mr Albanese's talks with the US President on Wednesday, Australian time. The Prime Minister says he will raise tariff issues, urging Donald Trump to scrap the levy on Australian goods. Mr Albanese will also seek assurances about the future of AUKUS after the Trump administration commissioned a review into the Defence Pact.
Mandatory 24-hour reporting of complaints is being introduced at childcare centres across the country. The federal government says the tougher rules are indirect to the review of child safety arrangements made by the Australian Children's Education and Care Quality Authority. Early Childhood Minister Dr Jess Walsh says the measures have received national support.
Stronger mandatory child safety measures have been signed off by every Australian Education Minister across the country.
A new report has found almost 2 million Australians are delaying or skipping critical medical care due to exorbitant fees for specialist doctors. And crocodile-infested waters has sparked a Brisbane Olympic shock around the world. The Fitzroy River, loved by Crocs, has been slated for the event. The world rowing boss will fly to Rockhampton in the coming months to decide whether the location is fit to host the sport in the 2032 Games. Now turning to 5AA Sport.
Get up to 2K loyalty bonus when you trade in during Agostino Mitsubishi's end of financial year sale.
Here's Tom Wren.
Thank you, Jade. Aussie Adam Scott is a massive chance to claim his second major title as play enters the back nine in the final round of the US Open at Oakmont. Play was delayed for about 90 minutes due to a storm, but they're back out there and Scott is currently outright second at even par. But he has work to do with Sam Burns just making a birdie on the par 4 10th hole to extend his lead to 2 shots.
Just touches it, plays the break, and Sam Burns has his first birdie of this final round. It's a big putt for Sam right there.
Audio there thanks to Fox. Let's get to football, and Port Adelaide's finals hopes remain well and truly alive following a 25-point win against Melbourne at home. Mitch Georgiades booted 7 goals while Jason Horne-Francis had 29 touches and booted a goal himself. Miles Bergman was also impressive with 22 touches and a goal. The 23-year-old is out of contract at season's end. Coach Ken Hinckley hopeful he'll remain at the club long term.
He'll take as much time as he needs to. He took a lot of time last time to make his decision. He's got every right to take that time, and he knows how much we love him at Port Adelaide and how much we'd love him to stay at Port Adelaide.
Aussie Oscar Piastri has finished 4th at the Canadian Grand Prix in a race that's been won by George Russell. Lando Norris collided with Piastri on lap 67 and crashed out, meaning Piastri has extended his championship lead. Well, the Florida Panthers are only 1 win away from winning the Stanley Cup after a 5-2 win against the Edmonton Oilers. Meantime, the NBA Finals will continue this morning. Game 5 to be played between the Indiana Pacers and Oklahoma City Thunder. The best of 7 series is currently all square at 2-2. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thank you, Tom. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Help the Jodie Lee Foundation fight bowel cancer. Round up your purchases in June at Star Discount Chemist.
Morning there at North Adelaide, got a car v pole. It's on Warmer Drive, just near the Adelaide Oval. Got a few delays there. Also delays with another collision. This one's at Trott Park. She's on the Southern Expressway near Majors Road, just where they're doing all the work, so she's pretty slow on the driving as well. Bit of activity at Norwood to look out for, the parade near Edward Street and an early morning camera, Anzac Highway, Glenelg East. This end of financial year, get an Android deal from Telstra. Save $500 on the Google Pixel 9 Pro when you buy a payment plan. Sale ends June 30, eligibility criteria apply. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Stay cosy, stay with CMAX. Visit cmax.com.au now and register your interest today.
Showers and 16 today, a shower or 2 and 16 tomorrow, cloudy and 16 on Wednesday. Right now it's 11 degrees on 5AA, always Adelaide.
If you need to fix your pipes, call Precise. Call Precise. If your toilet's blocking up, call Precise. Call Precise. If your lights aren't turning on, or your hot water is gone, or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Precise.
Precise Plumbing and Electrical. Call 1300 700 200. That's 1300 700 200. Precise Plumbing and Electrical. On time, on budget, on the job.
Or a plumber or an electrician, call Precise. Call Precise.
There was this huge spider.
Really silly place for a letterbox.
Seriously, there were cows all over the road.
At Premier Panel Services, we've heard it all. But the one thing we hear often is, when will my car be ready? In most cases, we can start work straight away, thanks to our state-of-the-art workshop and highly skilled team. Ask your insurance company for Premier Panel Services. With over 45 years' experience, we'll get you back on the road sooner. premierpanel.com.au.
A new battery rebate is here, and it's a game changer.
The Cheaper Home Batteries program with NRG Solar makes smart storage more affordable than ever. Eligible homes and small businesses can save thousands, and households could slash power bills by up to 90% with a solar and battery combo. NRG Solar will guide you through and lock in the rebate before the masses catch on. Head to nrgsolar.com.au or call 1300 858 160. Don't wait. The smart move is to act now.
Your old hot water system can drive as much as 40% of your energy bill. Fortunately, you can upgrade to something that's 70% cheaper to run thanks to Right Price. They're the leaders in heat pumps and installation. Now's the time to upgrade and save money on a more efficient hot water system and take advantage of government incentives and free installation. Reduce your energy costs today with a heat pump from Right Price. Make the switch with Right Price Hot Water.
At Right Price, heating and cooling, you can get the price right at Right Price.
Hi, Pretty here for Mawson Lakes Mazda. With all the end of financial year deals we've got going, you really should be here too. All makes, models and colours are being cleared, no exceptions. And there's a huge range of low-K demos, all ready for immediate delivery. Plus, you'll get free on-roads, free stamp duty, free 12-month rego and $500 worth of accessories. No gimmicks, just great deals. Mawson Lakes Mazda, Salisbury Highway, T's and C's apply.
Streaming live via the 5AA Player app on DAB Digital Radio and on 1395 AM. This is 5AA, always Adelaide.
Hyundai end of financial year sale is on now. Jump into the Tucson from $39,990 drive away at your participating Hyundai dealer.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
10 after 8, breaking 8 coming up in just a moment. We've got some tickets to our Best of SA Gala dinner. That's taking place on Friday night. It is not too far away at all, but still time for you to get along with someone else. 2 tickets if you're the first caller through when we play the Best of SA feature profile in just a few moments' time. 8223 is the number. You can text us as well on 0448 08 1395. Time for breaking 8.
Well, tomorrow the opposition leader Vincent Tarzia will be presenting his formal reply to the state budget brought down by Stephen Mulligan a couple of Thursdays ago. It has at its centre a pretty significant announcement about stamp duty, where Mr Tarzia is promising that if the Liberals do get in at next year's election, they will abolish stamp duty in its entirety for first home buyers, meaning not just new builds but existing homes. My understanding is it doesn't matter if it's an apartment or a house. Any property valued up to $1 million will no longer attract stamp duty, and the estimate is that that's going to save first home buyers about $45,000 when they buy their first home. Mr Tarzia, good morning, and thanks for joining us today. This is a pretty significant policy. What's the key difference between what you guys are offering and what the government's already put in place?
Good morning, David. Good morning. Good morning, Will. Yes, very good question. So every state in Australia has got an incentive on stamp duty for existing homes, but not South Australia. And so what we want to do, knowing that stamp duty on existing homes is just this massive barrier for first home buyers in South Australia, adds, as you pointed out, nearly 50 grand sometimes to the cost of almost a medium-priced home. What we want to do is we want to scrap stamp duty entirely for established homes up to that $1 million value for first home buyers. And as you point out, that'll save the average homeowner nearly 50 grand, and it'll really give them an advantage in what is a very competitive home market.
So, and it doesn't matter if it's a new build or if it's an existing house, as long as it's less than $1 million. What if it's a $1.1 million house? Does the stamp duty get abolished on the part of it up to $1 million?
No, so it doesn't apply to over 1 million. What this is about is it's more about that first home buyer level entry purchaser. So just helping them to get into the property market. We know at the moment, young South Australians, they're trying their hardest to save diligently. We're out there on the weekend with one called Michael. Guys like him, he's 30 years old. They're on average now, they're having to save 12 years to save for a deposit. So what we want to do is, instead of what they're doing at the moment, where they're paying off their landlords mortgage a lot of the time. We want to help empower them get into their own home, build some equity, allow them to take personal responsibility, and then, develop some equity, and then they can get established here and move on from there. Net interstate migration, when you look at our young people here in this state, we've had 8 consecutive quarters where young people are leaving this state. So chances are, if they can get a home, if they can get a good job here in South Australia, they'll stay, they'll grow their family, and that's good for the economy.
So what's the hit to the budget of adding this component to the stamp duty concessions?
Yes, I thought you'd ask that question, Will. Very good question. So at the end of the day, it depends how many people take up the grant. But on average, we think it'll be a commitment of over $100 million a year. And then the next question from that is people say, well, how will you pay for that? The fact is this: we all know in the last 3-4 years alone, some of these property values have gone up by 30-40% given the recent boom. And the fact is that the government are literally banking billions of dollars. If you look at, say, 28-29, the government is estimating about $1.8 billion in stamp duty revenue just that year. So, look, if that figure has to be $1.7 billion, we know that what lowering and getting rid of a tax effectively will do is it will also stimulate economic activity. But, of course, all of our costings will be released in the lead up to the election in the usual way.
What would you say to the economists that when it comes to these sort of demand-side policies would say that all they actually do, in effect, is drive up the cost of what is already the second most unaffordable housing market in Australia? It's
also, to your point, the 6th least affordable jurisdiction in the world at the moment. So, of course, the demand-side policies have got to be backed up by the supply-side policies. And so recently when the government made that EFPA changes, we actually wanted to create another 10,000 homes there. That would have grown to 25,000 people. They voted that down. We're still concerned about why they voted that down. But I'm also, in my budget reply speech, I'm also going to address some more concerns around supply, because you're right in that we also need to increase supply. But this is about a very targeted measure. This is us saying, for young people, we hear your pain, and it's also, the parents of young people, they are really concerned at the moment. And that's why we are creating a bit of a preferential system here. We're going to allow young people and help them get into their first home here in South Australia.
Mr. Tazia, when the budget came out, you guys were critical of the debt bomb, as you called it, and others called it, the amount of money rocketing towards $48.5 billion a year. $48.5 billion in 3 years' time, going up by about $4 billion a year. How does the Liberal Party reconcile being so critical on debt while at the same time embracing a measure like this, which is going to, as you said, cost about $100 million a year? Are you sort of having your cake and eating it too a bit?
No, look, I understand where you're going there, but if I could just explain that one. So the government continues to benefit from rising property prices, and they're raising their stamp duty revenue. It's never going down. So really, instead of baking that money in, what we want to do is we want to provide relief to those buyers. But by reducing the tax, and sometimes this is what's missing in these debates, by reducing the tax, what we're hoping to do is to grow the pie. So we want to grow the economy, and then we hope that, of course, that will help retain our youngest and brightest, and that is a step in the right direction. So it's not contingent on cuts. I appreciate the debt argument. The debt has got to be used productively is our main message. So when, again, I don't want to harp on it, but when we see things like the hydrogen issue, where up to $250 million has basically gone down the drain, that's what's really disappointing. So we have to keep an eye on the debt situation, absolutely.
Vincent Tazia, Leader of the Opposition, thanks for joining us this morning for Breaking It Out.
Thank you.
Well, it's policy, isn't it?
Yeah, we learned a bit there too, $100 million a year. There's going to be some supply-side announcement in the budget reply speech as well.
Yeah. The government were champing at the bit to come on and turned into a head-to-head, but I actually think there are times when, we have the Premier on, unmolested, unharassed by opponents. We had the Treasurer on the day after the budget. We had the Treasurer on frequently for his regular spot with us. So, if people are going to be critical, as we have been, about not enough policies coming from the opposition when they do have one that's significant like this, I think it's only fair that we give them a chance to explain it. So, a lot of texts coming through, some supportive, some negative. One here I thought Will might have ghost-written this one. It says, our entire political class are a bunch of nincompoops. Giving a break on stamp duty for first home buyers just puts a rocket under home prices. Although this person goes on to say, surely mass migration is the problem in terms of the lack of availability of housing stock.
These are all parts of the problem, I think. They're all parts of it. That's absolutely right. 0480831395 is the number. Keep your thoughts coming through. You might be excited about this news. Daka, AC/DC, currently on a world tour at the moment. In the summer in Europe as we speak. Well, 3AW's broken the news this morning that they're coming to Australia for the first time in 10 years. They're going to be touring. At very least, they know the MCG tour dates are going to be at the end of November. First artist to have played the MCG since Taylor Swift.
Yeah. Oasis are playing Melbourne around that time too, although I don't think that's at the MCG. That's if Noel and Liam are still talking to each other.
That's right. They're pending them still liking each other.
Akka Daka. How many of our listeners have seen Akka Daka live over the years? I've never seen them live.
So there is speculation.
I sat outside the Hells Bells concert with some schoolmates in about, what was that, 82, 83? When they started with the big dong up the front.
I like this. There was a line in the coverage in the Herald Sun this morning. I'll just read it verbatim. Herald Sun, by the way. If the band does come down under, it would be expected they would do shows in the major cities, Sydney, Perth, Adelaide and Brisbane, as per normal for a group of their high status. Damn straight, Herald Sun. I don't know how accurate that is.
I was going to say.
But you're right, Herald Sun.
This could be a Katy Perry scenario, couldn't it? What if in the lead up to the election, Mally gets wind of the fact that Brian Johnston and the boys aren't coming here?
Well,
I just quite word in their ear.
He might have to push against hundreds of thousands of people trying to leave. Throw bodies out the way.
Exactly.
Undaunted in his quest to get big acts to Adelaide. I'm going to check traffic. We'll come back with more in just a moment. Visit Jarvis Toyota's new home in Brighton Road, Somerton Park for savings across the Toyota certified pre-owned range.
Thanks, Will. At North Adelaide, car v pole on War Memorial Drive near the Adelaide Oval. Smash at Trot Parks on the Southern Expressway near Majors Road. And another collision with delays this morning. This one's at Hallett Cove, Lonsdale Road near Patpa Drive. Busy at the moment, South Road, Edwardstown with the camera Osmond Terrace at Norwood. Look for the RAA sign at over 400 independent RAA-approved repairers across SA. You know you can trust them because RAA do. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
The 5AA Sports Show, Rowie and Timmy G.
It's D-Day, Quad D-Day for Stephen Rose Crows. There you go. You've got 3 legs. This is one of the great moments.
Yeah, Hawks is the last Quad D-Day. Now, apparently it's about 2 degrees now. I don't want to see too many long-sleeve jumpers.
The 5AA Sports Show.
It's a giveaway,
It's a giveaway. If it's over 3, you can't win.
Weekdays from 4 p.m. on 5AA, always Adelaide.
Is it the best Beechwood home ever made? Possibly, but there's always more to come from Beechwood. Introducing the Caliente, now open for viewing. The Caliente is a multi-level masterpiece of design, innovation and style. Taking inspiration from Palm Springs in California, it's definitely a conversation starter. The team at Beechwood can't wait for you to see it at 10 Simon Crescent, Craigburn Farm. Open Saturdays and Sundays, 1 to 4:30 p.m. Life's good. It's even better in a Beechwood home.
There was this huge spider.
Really silly place for a letterbox.
Seriously, there were cows all over the road.
At Premier Panel Services, we've heard it all. But the one thing we hear often is, when will my car be ready? In most cases, we can start work straight away, thanks to our state-of-the-art workshop and highly skilled team. Ask your insurance company for Premier Panel Services. With over 45 years' experience, we'll get you back on the road sooner. premierpanel.com.au.
With Big Difference Home Improvements, you can make a big difference to your next family gathering, your Easter feast, your next footy barbecue and get together with mates, or maybe your next quiet time, just you, a nice book, your favourite beverage and a place to relax outside and out of the weather.
Big Difference Home Improvements make all the difference when it comes to outdoor blinds, roller shutters, verandas, pergolas, carports or a stunning timber deck.
Everything they do make a big difference, not just to your lifestyle, but to the value of your home, whether you're in reno mode or maybe just adding to your new home.
Ask the Big D team for a free measure and quote today on outdoor blinds, a carport, pergola, veranda or a stunning timber deck.
Don't just make a difference, make a big difference. Visit bigdifference.com.au.
The BMW Expo sales event is ending soon.
soon. Don't miss your chance to enjoy savings equal to the GST on new BMW vehicles. Visit your participating BMW dealer today. bmw.com.au.
Some milk on our shelves travels further than you do on holiday. Not milk from FIVEAA Milk Company. Our milk is proudly homegrown, home bottled and delivered straight from the rolling paddocks of South Australia's FIVEAA Peninsula. Freshness isn't a buzzword for us. We live and breathe it 24 hours a day. When you buy from FIVEAA Milk Company, you're supporting our incredible farming families and doing SA proud. Look for FIVEAA Milk Company in your supermarket.
Rosanna Mangiarelli here from 7 News. Join me and Will Goodings for Adelaide's leading news hour, 7 News, tonight at 6 o'clock.
Hyundai end of financial year sale is on now. Jump into the Tucson from $39,990 drive away at your participating Hyundai dealer.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
23 minutes after 8, Hayden Nelson from Channel 7 Sunrise program has been reporting this morning about a pretty scary situation that unfolded at 8 p.m. last night at the Bowden IGA. 8 p.m.'s pretty heavy traffic sort of time of the night too.
Particularly in IGA.
Yeah, the shop attendant there tried to stop someone stealing a trolley full of groceries. And in the process of that, there was an altercation. The shop worker received a hand injury and has been looked after by paramedics. It's understood that one of the items in the trolley was a knife that was taken from behind the counter.
Far out.
Now, unclear yet what role the knife may have played in the attack, so we don't want to jump to
conclusions. That's quite big, that IGA, the Bowden one.
Yeah.
And such a densely populated area, you'd think there would have been a lot of people who would have seen it.
The police are still on the lookout for the suspect this morning. Now, we've called the IGA and spoke to them. Now, they've been told by the IGA corporate arm not to do any interviews on this. They wanted to make the point, the manager there wanted to make it clear to us that this was not a hold-up but a theft, the two discrete events. So it was someone who was trying to walk out of the store with a trolley load of stuff, not trying to rob the till.
I tell you what, some of these late night supermarkets, all this stuff's just become so ritualised for them. I mean, you know the IGA in Gilbert Street?
Yeah.
Like, there's this wall of shame of all the recidivist thieves that go through there.
It's ridiculous.
There would be... I was there last year. We spent a week staying in Gilbert Street because our house was being painted, and I was shopping in the IGA all the time. There'd be 50 photographs. So there's a cast of dozens of ne'er-do-wells going in there habitually robbing the joint.
At what point did we all become conditioned to accept that this was just part of, running supermarkets or living in Adelaide?
Well, in Gilbert Street, it's normalised. I mean, the BWS next door, I went in there to, buy some refreshments, and there was a broken glass on the ground, and I said to the security guard, "Oh, mate, you dropped one." He goes, "Nah, not me." Some kids came in, just grabbed a six-pack, tried to run past him. He got in their way, they dropped it, and he's mopping it up.
Like, there are components to this that are now no longer surprising on any level. The first being this happened, the second being that nothing's going to happen to those involved, and the third being it's probably the same group that'll do it again somewhere.
Yeah, correct.
And I know we all collectively shrug our shoulders, but the end result is this stuff is just not even newsworthy anymore. It's just called living in Adelaide in 2025.
Yeah, that's right.
And that's the saddest and scariest part of the whole thing.
Yep. Where it's just become just another day for those supermarkets.
Shocking. All right, let's much happier news. Let's talk Best of SA. Friday night, Adelaide Oval, we're going to be there. The Gov is going to be there. Looking forward to that. The Premier's going to be there. Yeah, this is going to be a big night.
The Gov's about to get bigger. They've applied for some extra headcount, which is good for bigger gigs.
No, I mean the Gov is in the Governor.
Oh, I thought you meant the Governor
Hindmarsh. No, we're not bringing the pub to Best of SA. It's not going to be there. I don't know how you imagine that was going to happen. Not great to interview either, the Governor Hindmarsh,
but the people who own it. I think you meant the owners of the Gov.
No. It was probably because I informalised the name.
Yeah. Her Excellency. If you said that, I would have gone, oh, yeah.
The Governor will be joining us tomorrow, in fact, on 5AA Breakfast ahead of the big night. Anyway, Aussie Fast Transport Solutions are in focus this morning. Get calling now.
Is she aware that there's a pub named after her?
We might ask her that tomorrow.
Today, I'm at Aussie Fast
Fast Transport Solutions, chatting with their General Manager, Michael Neindorf. Michael, Aussie Fast is a national transport company. What kind of things do you carry?
Anything from medical products to manufacturing products. Yeah, we do a lot of major clients, but we also do the 1 to 2 pallet clients as well.
The big key message with Aussie Fast Transport Solutions is about service, and it's the fact that a client can contact someone here 24/7.
Yeah, we're on call 24/7, which is important, not just locally but interstate. It's important that we're available for the client.
Your head office is here in Adelaide. What do you like about operating in South Australia?
Number one, the transport. It's easy to get around in Adelaide, and it's a born and bred business here in SA. We're proud of it.
What's the best-selling service that you offer to clients?
From a local courier point of view, it's our VIP service, our 24-hour service, and interstate it would be anything that's palletised or on a skid. We're set up for everything.
Tell me about the VIP service.
VIP service is picked up and delivered on the first direct vehicle, so if there's something urgent, rest assured it's the first available vehicle.
So Mike, if people want to get in touch with Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, a new client maybe, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, just quite simply call 13 13 64 and you'll get a response straight away.
Great, and thank you so much for being part of 5AA's Best of SA.
Always a pleasure.
And Fiona and Natalie was the first caller through. So, Fiona, congratulations to you. You've got 2 tickets to our Best of SA dinner on Friday night, plus a $100 Visa card, all thanks to Aussie Fast Transport Solutions, interstate freight, distribution, warehousing and local Adelaide couriers. Call Aussie Fast on 13 13 64.
A lot of listeners texting in about their Akadaka memories. I think Mark Winslow, Mark from Para Hills, says, I've seen AC/DC 4 times.
Wow.
Globe Derby Park was an experience. Absolutely cracking live band. Indeed they are, from what I can gather, Mark.
Well, you might find out.
Sitting outside.
Later this year. The tour expected to come into Australia in 2025. We're going to take a break. More on 5AA Breakfast next.
Save thousands this June during Austrac Campers' end of financial year super sale. With unbeatable value across our entire range, there's never been a better time to gear up for adventure.
Austrac Campers. Adelaide's local, trusted and truly connected talkback radio station. 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Last month, we serviced around 11,000 vehicles, more than 3,000 Toyotas, Camrys, Corollas, Land Cruisers, 2,000 Mitsubishis, Tritons, Outlanders, Pajeros, over 500 VWs. That's right, over 11,000 people trusted us with their pride and joy. Automasters, isn't it time for you to switch and save? Call 1300 Automasters or book online. All centres offer repair now, pay later options. So switch and save with Automasters. Great service guaranteed.
Some swear jars collect coins, but at Buy Urban Bathrooms and Kitchens, their swear jar collects promises.
I'm Chloe. I swear to keep you informed at every stage of your bathroom or kitchen renovation.
Hi, I'm Rick the plumber. I swear to always be on time and clean up after myself.
I'm Laura. I swear to help bring your thoughts and design ideas to life, just how you envisioned them, or better.
For a team that swears to deliver on quality and service, see Buy Urban Bathrooms and Kitchens, Adelaide's home renovation experts.
This is 5AA News. Always Adelaide.
Showers and 16 with the 8:30 news. Good morning, I'm Jade Robrin.
Keep in shape with Physio-instructed clinical Pilates and gym classes at 6 locations. PhysioExtra.com.
Frightening scenes at the Bowden IGA around 8 p.m. last night after a shop attendant tried to stop a man stealing a trolley full of groceries. It's believed an altercation broke out, leaving the worker with a hand injury. He was treated at the scene by paramedics. It's believed a knife taken from behind the counter was in the trolley. Investigations are continuing to determine if it was used in the attack. Police are still searching for the suspect this morning. South Australia's Liberal Party is promising major stamp duty savings for first home buyers if it wins the next state election. The plan would see stamp duty scrapped on established homes and apartments valued up to $1 million. Opposition leader Vincent Tarzia says it's a move aimed at easing the cost of buying for family and first home buyers.
That'll save the average homeowner nearly $50,000 and it'll really give them an advantage in what is a very competitive home market.
Currently, only those building a new home are eligible for the exemption. Missiles from Iran have been raining down on Israel. It's after Israel launched airstrikes on Iran on Friday, killing top military and nuclear officials. Australian David Elrich is in Tel Aviv and says they've been sheltering in bunkers.
These weapons are intercontinental ballistic missiles. They're guided. They have the ability to avoid our missiles, shoot them down, and they're extremely deadly. They've killed 10 people. They've knocked down precincts of buildings in Tel Aviv suburbs, and they're much, much harder to destroy.
Meantime, President Donald Trump has warned the US may become involved in the conflict if things continue to escalate. New data has revealed a worrying rise in rough sleeping across Adelaide's suburbs. Confidential figures from the Department of Human Services show that while the number of rough sleepers in the CBD fell over the past 2 years, suburban areas are seeing an increase. Port Adelaide Enfield recorded a jump, as did Marion and Playford. A parenting expert says Gen Z needs to make more of an effort after new research found they're in the grip of an adulting crisis. 1 in 4 admit to having never paid their own bills or cooked meals at home. Dr. Justine says life is just too easy.
It's really nice to just order Uber Eats and turn on Netflix. There's no washing up. There's no, like, path of least resistance is where I'm going with this. You don't have to do nearly as much work when it's laid out for you. And yes, it does come at a cost.
The nominations for this year's Gold Logie have been announced. 7 nominees for the most popular personality on Australian television, including Ali Langdon from A Current Affair, Hamish Blake for Lego Masters, and Lisa Miller from the ABC's Muster Dogs, Where Are They Now? But our very own Tommy Wren has been missing from that list. Let's talk sport with the great man.
Get a 3K cash card on selected models during Agostino Mitsubishi's end of financial year sale.
Good morning to you, Tom Wren.
And to you as well. We'll have to wait for next year, Jade, the two of us. Let's start with some golf. Aussie Adam Scott is now in a share of the lead with half a dozen holes to play in the final round of the US Open at Oakmont in Pennsylvania. In really difficult conditions, Scott is now sitting at 1 over, along with overnight leader Sam Burns. Carlos Ortiz, Tyrrell Hatton and JJ Spawn are also at 1 over. Burns looked to be in control, but a double bogey and then a bogey has let the chasing pack back in.
Can't avoid another drop shot here, so he's gone double and bogey in the last 2 holes.
It is really drama-filled at the moment. Audio there thanks to Fox. Let's get to football. Port Adelaide with a big movers in round 14, jumping from 15th to 11th after a 25-point win against Melbourne at home. The Power are now 6 and 7 and sit 2 games and percentage outside the top 8. Well, Oscar Piastri and Lando Norris were involved in a dramatic collision which knocked Norris out of the Canadian Grand Prix this morning on lap 67. Norris later apologised. George Russell went on to win the race, a Mercedes first for the season. Russell's teammate Kimi Antonelli came third for his maiden podium finish behind Max Verstappen. Piastri managed to finish 4th, telling Fox Sports it was a disappointing end to the race.
I haven't actually seen the incident, so I don't know what exactly happened, but if Lando's taken responsibility, then that's how it goes, I guess. So, yeah, just a bit of a tricky race in general and not an ideal finish.
Piastri now sits 22 points clear at the top of the championship. And that's the 5AA Sport.
Thank you, Tom. Now checking 5AA traffic.
Help the Jodie Lee Foundation fight bowel cancer. Round up your purchases in June at Star Discount Chemist.
At Trott Park, smash on the Southern Expressway near Majors Road. Hallett Cove, a smash on Lonsdale Road near Patpa Drive, delays there. And Golden Grove, a smash on Surrey Farm Drive at the Grove Way. Busy at North, the parade near Edward Street with a camera Hallett Road at Stonyfell. End of financial year deals on Nissan X-Trail just got bigger. Glide into a participating Nissan dealer today. Full terms at nissan.com.au/offers. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
Now the 5AA forecast.
Stay cosy, stay with CMAX. Visit cmax.com.au now and register your interest today.
Showers and 16 today, a shower or 2 and 16 tomorrow. Cloudy and 16 again on Wednesday. Right now, though, it is 12 degrees on 5AA. Always Adelaide.
Here's an important air conditioning tip from Morford Air.
Never give your teenagers control over the aircon remote. Your energy bills could go through the roof. Instead, for summer, set it around 21 degrees. It's the most energy efficient temperature. And if you turn it on early, before the teens are out of bed, your system will have less work to do, keeping your home cool all day. When it's too hot or cold to bear, reach for the Morford Air. morfordair.com.au.
Morford Air. Doing day-to-day things online has made our lives easier. Paying bills, shopping, banking. It all makes perfect sense to do online. But what doesn't make sense is doing your will online. It's fraught with potential problems and can leave a mess behind. From the simplest to the most complex wills and estate plans, Donlan Lawyers can answer your questions and help carry out your final wishes properly. For wills and estate planning, visit donlanlawyers.com, Hindmarsh Square, Adelaide, and Ocean Street, Victor Harbour.
Here's another top tyre tip from Tyre Power. Before you go on a road trip, make sure you run a few tyre safety checks. If in doubt, give the experts a shout at Tyre Power. Visit tyrepower.com.au or call 13 21 91 for your local independent owner.
Australia's Cheaper Home Batteries program is here, and it's your chance to save thousands on a new home battery system. With up to 30% off battery installation, NRG Solar can help you claim rebates worth up to $18,500.
It's a huge saving, and whether you're adding a battery to existing solar or you're starting from scratch like we did with NRG, this is the moment to act, because NRG Solar are ready to help you maximise your savings, and yes, systems installed from now are eligible.
NRG Solar are the local experts. They'll guide you through your options and help you lock in the rebate. Visit nrgsolar.com.au or call 1300 858 160 and get ready for lower bills and real energy independence. That's 1300 858 160.
Last month, around 11,000 people trusted us with their pride and joy. Automasters, logbook servicing, repairs, brakes, aircon and more. Isn't it time for you to switch and save? Call 1300 Automasters. Great service guaranteed.
Hyundai End of Financial Year sale is on now. Jump into the Tucson from $39,990 drive away at your participating Hyundai dealer.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
21 minutes to 9. We started off the program talking about the fact it was delightful to be both well this week after somehow coordinating sickness last week.
Seriously, I thought I was going to keel over a couple of times last week.
We made it through, but we're not alone. We are, what is it, 16th of June, flu season, cold outside. People are inside more often, spreading diseases and so forth. The official data from SA Health does reflect that. If you look at flu cases, so far this year we've had 6,755 reported cases of influenza. This time last year, 4,267.
Wow.
So it's about a 50% increase year on year. It's amazing where the number gets to. So last year at this point, 4,167 ended up with 22,900 cases. So it accelerates from this point on. It's also greater than the year before, 2023. Whooping cough is particularly concerning. 1,542 cases so far this year. Last year, at this point, 177. The year before, 24. At this time of year. So we're having a shocking year whooping cough-wise. That said, RSV's lower than last year. And COVID's fascinating if you look at the official figures on COVID. So COVID so far this year, we've had 5,358 cases. This time last year, 10,237 cases. This time in 2023, 20,144 cases. I bet a lot of that's got to do with reporting, though.
Yeah.
There was a level of diligence that was around 2-3 years ago that people don't even... and in testing as well. People aren't testing.
No, I don't think they are. Plus also, in terms of their behaviour, they're not staying home the way they used to.
Exactly right.
That's the big thing.
Yeah. Shannon Hewitt, should I say? Sorry, Shannon. Runs Star Discount Chemists. Shannon, good morning to you.
Good morning.
So, Shannon, just in terms of how on the front line they're running a pharmacy, what's the lie of the land at the moment?
Well, I mean, I can say I'm seeing exactly the same thing as the data for the most part. You're exactly right about the COVID, though. There is a lot of underreporting, I believe, based on the number of people that are telling us that they have COVID when they do their own test themselves with a rapid antigen test. But there's no obligation anymore to report that to SA Health or any other reporting system. So a lot of them, they have it, but no one actually knows those figures. So there's definitely a lot of it going around at the moment.
How hard is it for you and your staff when you're actually, on the front line all day and you've got people coming in saying, casually telling you that they've got COVID while they're standing, a metre away from you? The world's changed a lot in the last few years, hasn't it?
It really has. I mean, a few years ago, everyone was very cautious. They were all doing the right thing, wearing masks, not going out. The big thing, staying home if you're sick. But they're not. They're all coming out and just doing their normal thing, which does mean that, as health professionals, we are at sort of an increased risk of contracting these things ourselves. So we make sure that we do everything we can to limit that spread within our pharmacies so that we don't we still have the staff basically to help you when you're sick, but also so that we don't spread it on to any of our other patients as well, because we want to limit the transmission as much as possible.
I'm not sure how long you've been in the pharmacy game, Shannon, but I'm intrigued to know whether you think there's been a change in the way people present or turn up at pharmacies now, given how difficult people are finding it to get into GPs, or people being conditioned not to be able to even go to the GP if they've got flu-like symptoms over the course of the last few years. Have you guys gotten increasingly busy, and do you think it correlates with that experience with the GPs?
Well, I can say I've been in pharmacy for over 25 years myself. So I've seen patients come to us ever since I started in pharmacy, have always come to us first. A lot of the time, and then we would say, look, you need to go and see your doctor. But certainly in the last few years where we are getting reports from patients that they are finding it more difficult to get to their doctor, particularly people who are sick at the last minute and don't know that they're going to need an appointment. They're finding it quite difficult. So we do as much as we can for them within our scope of practice. And then send them on and help them try and, where we can, get them appointments with their doctors, either through their regular GP, or if it's urgent and they can't get their GP through a telehealth or some other service, to make sure they're getting the health care they need. But, yeah, certainly a lot more demand on pharmacists' time, doing as much as we can. And that's evident in the last few years where we now do vaccinations. We do a whole plethora of them now, so you can come and see your pharmacist whenever you need for some vaccinations, and they can help you with that. And then looking at other services in the future as well, with recent announcements that there will be expanded scope of practice for pharmacists to help support those patients get timely and equitable access to healthcare when they can't get through to their GP.
On the vaccine front, Shannon, are you seeing a drop-off in the take-up of vaccinations?
Unfortunately, yes. So we did have a really big peak a few years ago with COVID. Everyone was highly motivated to get their vaccines, and we're seeing year on year that that's decreasing. Fortunately for us, we're seeing in our little communities with our pharmacies that those numbers are actually increasing. We've done a lot to try and increase vaccination rates in the communities that our pharmacies support, and so we're above the national average in vaccination there. But unfortunately, as a national average, vaccination rates are considerably down, particularly in COVID. There's a lot of fatigue there around that. And unfortunately, that breeds a little bit of complacency, and people are still getting quite sick from COVID. So we do need to make sure that, to protect those people that can't have the vaccine, such as anyone that has an allergy to a vaccine or the very young, we should be trying to get our flu vaccines every year and lots of other vaccines as well.
I think, Shannon, you started touching on this just a moment ago, but given the stats we're seeing, given the increase in population that we have in South Australia and Australia at the moment, is there any low-hanging fruit with regard to extra services that you think pharmacies should be able to provide that they currently can't, that might help people get the treatment they need?
Well, in terms of vaccination in South Australia, the South Australian government actually announced that pharmacists could do all vaccines that are listed in the Australian Immunisation Handbook. But beyond that, we are expecting there is an expanded scope The details of that have been released by, partially been released by SA Health, and we're expecting more information really, really soon. And it will actually see pharmacists be able to provide consultations in the pharmacies for a whole range of acute and possibly some chronic health conditions. So that, if you have perhaps some skin conditions, you can come in, your pharmacist can actually diagnose it and would be able to prescribe something for you that you would normally get prescribed from your doctor. So that's in the pipeline. It's still a little way away, but we're very excited about that, and I'm certainly excited to be doing my training when it becomes available, hopefully next year.
Great chat, Shannon. Fascinating.
that was
Shannon
terrific.
Hewitt from the chief pharmacist, for the Star discount chemist chain. Thank you for that.
Enjoyed that chat. We'll chat with Shannon again in the future, I reckon. Let's check traffic.
Hey, what about Steve, though, before we do? Steve from Christie's. I was 17 and in the Navy in 1976. I was on leave in Melbourne on Swanson Street when AC/DC came past on the back of a flatbed truck singing Long Way to the Top. I didn't know what I was looking at until Sunday night back at HMAS Cerberus. We were watching Countdown, Countdown, and I realised, hang on, where's the text gone? And I realised what I saw on Saturday morning. Bit of rock and roll history.
That is brilliant. Thank you for that text. Keep them coming in. We just got a message too a short time ago about an accident in front of the Hallett Cove Shopping Centre. Traffic backed up to Majors Road, affecting southbound. Emergency services are on the scene. 3 cars involved. We've been told everyone is okay. Let's check traffic more broadly now. Visit Jarvis Toyota's new home in Brighton Road, Summerton Park for savings across the Toyota certified pre-owned range.
Thanks, Will. A Trot Park, a smash still causing delays on the Southern Expressway near Majors Road. Hallett Cove, another collision there. Lonsdale Road near Patpa Drive with delays, and a smash at Golden Grove, which has just come in. Surrey Farm Drive at the Grove Way. Busy at Norwood for works. The parade near Edward Street slow. Tapley's Hill Road, Glenelg North with the camera West Beach Road at West Beach. It's end of fin year at Flight Centre, with savings of up to 50% on holidays, cruises and tours, plus up to 75% off hotels. Hurry, ends June 30. Adelaide's most accurate traffic on 5AA.
This is very serious. The Blackout End of Financial Year sale is live at Edwardstown Mazda with huge in-showroom only deals and serious savings across all new and demo vehicles. Save up to drive away with no ads, no clues, just serious end of financial year value. In-store only. Are you serious about end of financial year? Prove it. Show up. The Blackout Sale, only at Edwardstown Mazda and only in-store. Must end June 30.
Got something big to budge? Budget with Budget. Little trucks, big trucks. You can do it all in a budget rental truck. Get exactly what you need and at a great price too. So remember, whatever you've got to budget with a budget rental truck.
Budget with a budget renter truck. It's quick and cheap. Well, half your luck when you budget with a budget renter truck.
Budget car and truck rental. Call 13 27 27. That's 13 27 27.
It all started in the back shed. Maybe it started early. Or late. Either way, the Olympic Industries sale means there's no need to wait. With big savings on our entire range of SA-engineered sheds, garages, carports and verandas, you can afford to start something big, tough, or tasty in your own backyard. Start something with the Olympic Industries sale. On now.
It's the sale of the year at Derringer's Music. Starting out, getting back into it, or if you're a seasoned pro, Derringer's end of financial year sale is always a chart topper. And together with Yamaha, they have you covered for every aspect of making and enjoying music.
That's right. Pianos, acoustic and electric guitars, bass guitars, drums, amplifiers, PAs, even studio recording gear. Yamaha covers it all.
The end of financial year sale at Derringer's is the perfect excuse to scratch that musical itch. And remember, the Derringer's team is standing by to help you with the right device and to point you in the right direction.
That's right. Don't miss Derringer's end of financial year sale on now. Derringer's and Yamaha, your local support act. Check out their website, derringers.com.au.
All right, that'll be absolutely diddly squat.
Buy any vehicle from Wayville Hyundai before June 30 and you could win an entire year of groceries from Foodland. T's and C's apply. Licence number T25707. Driven by Australian Motors.
Hyundai end of financial year sale is on now. Jump into the Tucson from $39,990 drive away at your participating Hyundai dealer.
David Penberthy and Will Goodings, 5AA Breakfast.
8 minutes to 9. Let's have a look at the fuel situation. It's somewhat tied to global events at the moment. Better to be a member with RAA Road Service, albeit you can still get it cheap this morning. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be saying that. I think it's probably not much longer. Diesel you can get for under $1.60. The United Seaton, Tapley's Hill Road, $1.58.9. The Shell OTR Paraka, Bridge Road, $1.59.9. Unleaded you can still get under $1.50. The United at Rosewater on Grand Junction Road, $1.49.9. Gee whiz, if you're going past there, just go in and get something because it's going to change. The United Melrose Park South Road, $1.53.9. The Shell OTR at Old Noarlunga, Main South Road, $1.53.9. Even the Shell OTR Glen Osmond on Glen Osmond Road, $1.59.9 is good because what do we know about conflict in the Middle East? Petrol prices go up. It's going to happen.
It certainly is. Talking about that robbery at the IGA at Bowden yesterday, Andrew writes, I was at a prominent retailer in Woodville on Saturday morning. While I was waiting, a guy walked in and pinched an expensive item. He simply ripped the security tag off and walked out of the store despite the staff demanding that he hand it over. And more Akadaka texts here. This one from Roger and Chris up in Loberthal. I saw AC/DC live at the Bridgeway in 1972. Dave Evans. I'm not aware of Dave Evans. Dave Evans was the lead vocalist, and their first song was Can I Sit Next to You, Girl? Angus was only about 15 then, I think. They didn't have a national profile back then, but sure made up for it after. It was one of the first dates that me and my future wife ever went out on. What a lovely date.
That sounds magnificent.
How good's that? Daka.
Terrific work.
Beautiful.
They better be coming to Adelaide.
Yeah, well, watch this space.
November.
They normally do.
We've got Lenny Kravitz coming for the BP grand final of the supercars. Could be a busy musical end of the year in Adelaide. Well, we hope so anyway. During the break, we were just talking about a study that was being done, a bit of new research that came out about Gen Zs moving out of home. Now, I think on average, to move out of home these days, you're generally about 45 with 3 kids. So that makes this all the more interesting. Nearly half of Aussies aged 18 to 30. Okay, so you're moving out at a reasonable age then. Feel unprepared to manage household chores. That's according to research from Westinghouse. I'll just drill down into some of the data here. 30% have never mowed a lawn. 26% have never paid all their own household bills. How many household bills do you have when you haven't moved out? I guess your phone, maybe.
Well, you're part of it. You're part of the cost.
Yeah, but you're not sitting there going, all right, little Timmy, it's time for you to pay the mortgage, are you?
I don't know.
Another quarter have never prepared every meal at home for a full week, while 24% admit they've never cleaned an oven. In the kitchen, 45% don't know what to cook. Well, that's our house every day. I reckon 90% of every conversations is every day is, so what are we going to do for dinner? I can't believe it's only 45%.
Pass me my phone.
51% skip meals multiple times a week, and 38% rely on takeaway or eating out multiple times a week. Laundry management is a problem too. 39% admitting to taking their dirty clothes home to parents. Oh, that sounds like a good deal. 73% report ruining their clothes due to incorrect washing or drying techniques. Everyone's done that at some point in time, haven't they? That's just all part of growing up. Isn't that the fun of growing up?
I met this really nice school principal a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about like the modern sort of capacity for parents to mollycoddle their children. And everyone's familiar with the term helicopter parents. He used a term that I'd never heard before, which he said, no, we don't call them helicopter parents, we call them lawnmower parents. And he said the idea is they want to get in front of their kids to clear a path for them in life, to remove any obstacle, to make sure that life is completely unchallenging and non-confronting for them. And maybe part of that Gen Z figure is actually less on the kids, but the kids realising that they can get away with it because they don't have to do anything because their parents are just fussing over them the whole time, as opposed to going, hey, can you go mow the lawn for me?
You're right about that. We're only just coming into the start of this as parents. We're planning for early childhood education and primary school and so forth.
So you've asked Rosie to contribute to the cost of the power bills.
No, she understands the basics of economics, supply and demand and so forth.
She's already read The Wealth of Nations.
Yeah, that's right.
I had it read to her.
Yeah, she's got some... She's part of her mother's daughter. She's not totally into Ayn Rand, but, nobody's perfect.
That's right. Forget possum magic, honey. We're reading The Fountainhead.
But one of the things is that I certainly wasn't around when I was a kid. There's already material I've read about going to school in the early years from the various places we've looked at sending her that say, now we've got a policy with the prickly area of birthday invitations because it can be confronting when certain kids don't get invited. I thought, yeah, I remember that. It's called not getting invited.
Yeah, totally.
And then sometimes you did.
Oh, no, I am aware of debates about the apparent wrongness of handing out invitations at the end of school.
Oh, there's policies now.
Timmy doesn't get an invite. I mean, what happens to those children when they get to work and find out that Nige in accounts doesn't like them and that he's got his own group of friends or, you can't be friends with everybody.
It's bizarre. But it goes to that lawnmower point, doesn't it?
Well... I mean, I think a lot of things like the sort of mandatory non-scoring in sport and everything. The problem with all this stuff is it's actually it runs contrary to human nature. Like if you tell kids that they're not allowed to score, they go, yeah, okay. And at halftime they're going, we're 3-0 up, keep going.
Of course they do. Guess what? That was a policy derived by someone who doesn't enjoy sport because everyone who does knows the whole point is the score. That's why we're here.
Yeah.
And you know that when you're 5 years old as a kid.
Oh, completely.
You know who's good. You know if you're bad. I knew I was bad at sport the moment I stepped onto a field. I went, it turns out I'm crap at this.
I know, and it's really important. It's really important that you learn that you're really bad at some things.
Yes.
I was an embarrassment as a footballer. I would hide in the back pocket hoping the ball didn't come near me, mainly because I was 2 feet shorter than everybody else because I didn't grow till I was about 17 when I'd finished school. But, then you work out, I'm actually pretty good at this drama stuff and laugh at me. I don't care. I got a good mark for that in my PES.
To be or not to be.
Yeah, everyone's got a talent.
That's right. Sometimes it's a process of elimination.
Correct. And you need to have your non-talents eliminated.
That's all from us on this Monday morning. Enjoy what's potentially going to be a fairly wet day. We hope it falls in the right places in South Australia. Stick around. Graham Goodings is next.
Coming up next on 5AA, the stories that matter to Adelaide.